Hello everyone, welcome to the Masters judging stream for the Lanterns Rain Discord Paint Me Like a Pinup competition. This is the final countdown. We have 25 Masters entry category pieces to look through, and joining me today is once again Krzysztof Kowalczyk from Poland, Red Av Miniature Painter. Go and sign up to his Patreon. And Andy Bucks, who joined me on the beginner stream, Andy Bucks Art on Instagram. We are going to get very, very in detail and in depth in some of these pieces. So, difference between intermediate and beginner and masters. These entrants in masters get absolutely no free rides. You will get smashed. We will destroy your piece. We will break it down into its atomic components, and then maybe we might build you back up again a little bit, but probably not. Our goal.
We'll leave that one for you.
Our goal is to be as critical and constructive as we can with our feedback, to try and help everyone find some ways to improve. Now, something Krzysztof said to me yesterday after we finished up the stream, which I thought was really relevant, is you need to have some confidence to go into a Masters judging and be confident in your own ability. And Andy's probably not got that same level of confidence just yet, but he's going to add some value in different ways, in giving some perspectives that maybe Krzysztof and I don't have. And I think I'm really pleased that he's joining us today, because it's a much more balanced approach to judging when you have three people. So, any thoughts, Red Av, you wanted to add?
No. I think we should be like, someone just like wrote it yesterday. Like, you're ruthless, and I'm ruthless and kind, and I think we should keep that balance. Yeah.
Good, Andy. What would you like to be? Would you like to be the pump up guy?
Look, I can be a wonderful hype man, but I can be on the kite string as well, you know. Like, I can come out of nowhere with a cracking left hook on something if I don't like it. So,
good.
Yeah, expect some of that as well.
No, look, I think it's obviously an improvement over the intermediate quality, the majority of these Masters entries, and so we want to really be as positive and constructive as we can be in helping those painters improve. And potentially, take these learnings on to their next competition, and or back to their own work, and give them a different perspective. So, as always, judging is subjective. You may disagree. That's okay. You're allowed to disagree with our opinion. It is only an opinion. If you take your models and enter them in a different competition, you may get completely different results. It's just the nature of the beast, the nature of competition. So treat it with a grain of salt, and hopefully we can provide some value to everyone as well. Let's get started, friends. Let's go. We have a wonderful number of entries. We are going to stick with the early numbers first and work our way down the list. So we will touch on 36 and 75 first, which are the intermediate categories that got bumped up. So what we might do is start with number 36, and this one I am pretty keen to dive into a lot. But why don't you start, Krzysztof, because you felt this maybe should have stayed in intermediate potentially. So why don't you start off your thoughts on this one?
Okay. Okay. Like, I'm always a person that always tries to like first show the good things and then go to the other side. Yeah. So I like this piece because of the balance of coldness and warmth. Yeah. It works here pretty well, and you can see that like maybe warm light here on the bottom. Yeah. But still like the other elements, like the skin tone, of course, but like the belt, the fur, they are quite nicely accented, like with warmth, but then in the highlights there's a little coldness, yeah, and it forms like a very cool atmosphere. Yeah, I think it could be even a little more of it. Yeah, because on some parts of the hair it is present, but on, let's say, on top of the head it's not. Yeah, but I like that balance. Yeah, so that forms like a very coherent piece. In terms of the detail, I think it's nicely painted. The problem maybe is like when you zoom in, but I don't know if the exact scale of this miniature. It looks small,
32,
so
yeah,
probably
30,
like,
30 mil.
yeah, so probably like zooming in, like the person painted it like didn't see it all. Yeah, probably. Yeah, we can now like zoom in and it's like very easy. Okay, at I think just like maybe a little more definition, like in terms of just like painting for master, yeah, like just like being more accurate with just like separations, being accurate with like maybe blending, yeah, because like it's a little sketchy, yeah, and for my standards, yeah.
Andy, why don't you share your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, so I think for master's level painting, there needs to be a particular level of sharpness to sort of everything that we're looking at. And sharpness not necessarily as technique, but the way that like it looks on a whole. And like as you get into each of the elements that present on this model or on this paint job, like everything just seems like it's been painted as a whole and not as like, well, focusing on these straps, how do these straps, how are they going to look? How can I push them to the like the furthest part of what straps should look like? That's what I'm picking up from this one. I also like the warm and cold play on it. I think that's quite nice. But I think like for example the hair for me, like I like that we've got a sheen in the hair, but I feel like some of the strands are like the depth in the shadow in the strands is a bit too much for me. So that's some of the things that I'm looking at here, like just an overall sharpness that I'd sort of expect at master level. I don't know if you both see that as well, but
Yeah.
particularly around the face and around the eyes, the straps.
I think one thing is also like very visible. Like the longer I look at it, there's more focus on the body, maybe on the head of the hammer, than on her head, on her face. Yeah.
Yep.
It should have a little more light, the face, yeah, the whole head, yeah. Like
Yep.
it just like disappears a little in that detail, yeah.
All right, I'm ready to unload. Here we go. So, the problem with this piece is not so much the technical application of paint. It's the choices around the placement of highlights and treating objects differently. So, first of all, the metal doesn't look like metal to me. It looks like grey. It looks like rock, and that's because each of those pieces has been painted as a single piece rather than as a piece of metal. So the hammer's a fine example of this. You know, that there needs to be light reflecting off this whole object rather than each individual element on this object, because it's one piece of metal with some detail. It's not lots of tiny little pieces of metal. This headdress is just looks like stone. There's not enough value shift in that to create a impressive sensation of metal. The best element that's done in metal is actually this belt, because it's taking the light and looks more like those elements are individual elements as opposed to a piece of armor. Another example of the poor placement of lights is on this strap or this strand of hair. That's not an area where we should be seeing an awful lot of highlights. We should be seeing it on the top of the head, on that curve on the top of the head, potentially, and it just feels very overall like there's not enough of a clear contrast focus drawn towards the top part of the face and then decreasing, and that's a challenge when you've got a light source down the bottom to draw your focus up. But as Christoph said, I think really leaning more into the cold light, and if you haven't seen Christoph's Instagram, he did a piece a couple of months, maybe a month ago, with beautiful blue light. What's that model called? Justine or something, mate? That you know, the one with the really cold blue light?
I think Lydia or something like this.
Yep. That's an example of how you can create huge value contrast whilst creating a cold light, and I think that really leaning into that might have helped. I also think the brown is really average, poorly executed. When you've got skin that's nicely rendered and the other elements are well painted, this brown just looks like blech. Good photo though.
Maybe a little more highlight on that belt, yeah.
Do you both feel that like when you are attempting to have two like pockets of light affecting your miniature, like it's pretty good to start with, like where the major light source is coming from, and then your secondary light source being the lantern on the ground, like then impacts that, because it does feel like from the top of the model there is no direct light source. It's sort of light is coming in from lots of different places, particularly you see it on the hammer and then on the hair on the other side.
Yep.
Is that what we're sort of thinking?
Question 1, where is your light source? In this case there's 2, but the top one doesn't have a clear focus, doesn't have a clear direction. And so that's making all of those placement of highlights feel wrong. I bumped this to Masters because it's still
also
good.
Look on the back, yeah?
Yeah.
On the back you don't have that much of that blue, honestly, because it's more on the front, yeah? So, I don't know, like, what was the intention? Like, maybe the back is lit more by, like, a warmer light, the front is, like, has that, like, bluish sheen, it's okay, but, like, it should be more coherent, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, I think, Andy, like, that question that you, asked right now, it's, for me, it's, like, very important, because I always start with, like, let's say, understanding the main light source, yeah? Just like the main light source that makes the character, and just like sketching it all, or even like showing. I don't sketch that much, like, of the whole figure, yeah? Sometimes I sketch like some elements, something surrounding, but I always like try to put the main light source first, and then just those secondary reflections, secondary like bounce light or atmosphere, or like or in this case it would be OSL. So and also I think that like it's not fully coherent. Yeah, it's a little from the right probably, like from looking at the photo.
Yeah.
But still, like the head in some parts misses it, and it's also like you have it on the, let's say on the legs, on her left leg, you can see more of that blue from that left side, yeah. This one, yeah. On the other leg, you see just a little bit on the like on below the knee, and here, just a little bit here, and I think it's not coherent, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's the same with like with the hammer. If you scroll up to the hammer there, the horns on the hammer, it's going to be the top obviously of the under horn is going to be, so that's the top horn. The one underneath is going to be, a level of reflection, and then the top of that horn is pretty much going to be peak reflection, right, of the horn of the above.
Yeah.
And that's then going to like lead and inform the rest of the hammer on how it receives light. Same with how the shaft going down will receive light, the next shoulder. So like it really does help when you find a focus point for where your light comes in, and then like follow that through the miniature on where the rest of the light's going to go. Obviously it's going to get darker and darker the further we get away from that point. And that's also going to affect your OSL as well. And I think like, for example, some of the OSL points, like the red on the underside of her left arm is quite powerful. I think the underside of the hammer from the back seemed to be pretty similar to the level of light that's coming off the lantern, and that would obviously dissipate over time as we get further away. So
I think it's important that I stress this deserves to be in Masters, right? So this is a Masters level entry, but the technique around the light source and the placement of lights is what lets this down, but there's still enough clear evidence that this belongs in Masters. So
yeah, I think we can all agree that like if we compare it to the prior categories, yeah. So now we're even like talking about the advanced stuff like light placement, like secondary light sources and stuff. Like we haven't talked about it like in the previous like levels, like intermediate, beginner, yeah.
Yeah.
So like here you can see more of those advanced techniques, more advanced topics, yeah. but like now, like just really finding the placement. Like for me, like a good tip for that person that painted it, try to sketch a lot and just like not focus on details, because it looks like you got lost a little in the details, yeah. And just like think about the whole picture first and then go into the details, yeah. If you sketch the light source, make it coherent, then it will be way easier to paint it all, yeah.
To finish on like a nice little positive for this one, I do enjoy looking at the greaves. Like the light hitting the greaves, I felt was a nice.
It was executed well.
Shin guards.
At this point in time, I don't see that in our top 4, but there's some very good quality entries, so we'll see where that lands.
Yeah.
This great entry with the great Mumford in the background. We did talk a little bit more about this one yesterday. Again, similar feedback. It definitely feels like it deserves to be in Masters. I think the compositional choices let it down a little bit. It feels very staged, and this angle feels more accurate. I think the orange is a really vibrant and excellent colour choice. I think the actual painting on the hair is executed poorly. And I think this is an example of non-metallic metal, very rudimentarily done, and that's being polite. This won't fall into the metals for me, but again, I think this person should be placing themselves in Masters and challenging themselves with their decision making. So, Andy, why don't you kick off on this one, because we talked about it a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, sure. So for me, when we start to get to like this level of painting combined with setting a scene or a vignette, like I love to see people thinking about movement and how movement affects everything that's happening in the room. And so for me, like the way that the little dog is sort of going after her underwear in that angle, and then the way where she is on the bed, things like this, they all just seem slightly off. So for me, that's something that I like to see considered. I have the same, I share the same sort of sentiment towards the non-metal metallic, especially on the helmet. I feel like it's got a strong shine point, but then the shine point matches every highlight around the edge of each of the pieces, so it's a little bit jarring and not quite there.
Is it a 360 degree light, is it? Is the light like sweeping around the room? Like, is it in the exact same spot all the way?
Disco ball up there.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm assuming that's like a cardboard cutout picture of someone, right? Like it's so for me, anything that I guess starts to suspend my belief that's when I start, like if you kill my immersion by not being painted, that will immediately break my enjoyment of something. So I know it sounds harsh, but if you're going to do that, then I would have liked to have seen it painted, like at Masters level.
Red F?
Yeah, like as I mentioned yesterday, like for me, the like parts of the surrounding aren't painted, yeah. Just like if you see the back wall, I know it's in the darkness, but there should be a little more information, especially on the metal, even on the wooden frame, yeah, because it looks like golden parts, yeah, and it's just like flat. The rug on the front also it's just dark, yeah. It's a very cool detail, like and you can accent it a little more, yeah. I think I will agree with you, Trent. Like I would maybe even keep the bed in this position, but rotate her a little on the bed, just to make her cross the bed, and you would see more of that interaction of her face and of the dog, just looking from the front. And I think the non-metallic metal is just too simple. Doesn't have that much of let's say even the reflection of the surroundings. Yeah, you have the surroundings here. You can paint it. Yeah, the color of the bed, the color of the rug. Yeah, it could be visible in the helmet. Yeah, or in the gauntlet. Yeah,
and absolutely. I like the telephone. Like the telephone is a nice little detail. I feel like the non-metal metallic from this angle is reading pretty nicely. But
yes.
I
think that's the one best part. Yeah, it looks very good.
It does very much so. The dog is killing it for me though. This is a super dog. It is so powerful that it doesn't need its hind legs to rip at Pitch Chick's underwear. He's got some level of skill there.
So I think this is actually true metallic paints with a wash on these corners, and then non-metallic metals.
You think it's the same
on the helmet? And I think that is a rule that one should never break. One does not incorporate true metallics and non-metallics on the same piece. If I'm wrong, feel free to tell me I'm wrong. But yeah, don't think I am. The helmet is an absolute eyesore in this piece. It's pulling your focus down to the front right of the model, away from everything, and then it's also executed poorly. So you would have been better off with that not on the model at all, because it's taking it away. So couldn't agree more about the painting.
The exception with non-metal metallic and true metal both being on the same piece is that then if your non-metal metallic has to match your true metal metallic perfectly. You have to be able to not know the difference between the two.
Yeah.
As there's an exception to every rule, right? So
yeah. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong and do it.
It doesn't. No. Yeah.
You can't have a printed piece of stuff, particularly a photo on this, as you said, suspension of disbelief. Yeah, that's a photo. It doesn't look like it belongs in that environment. It's a very, very well constructed and atmospheric diorama, and I like the way that the person's approached this model. When you're doing dioramas, composition is more important than probably anything else. If you don't get your composition right, the diorama's lost from day one. So I think this was a glorious attempt, and overall not in the medals.
Yeah, I agree.
Good. 81. We have number 81. And this one is this wonderful running model. She's running up that hill. Red Av, you're up first, buddy. What do you got for us?
I actually like this one quite a lot. Maybe of course, as everywhere we could find stuff, but I like this one. I think first of all, for now you win the golden award for photography.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good photo of a miniature. The thing that instantly draws your attention is the face, then the boobs, and then the lantern. Yeah. That's something that is very good, this piece, yeah? And also that rim light from the lantern is very well executed.
Yeah.
I like it quite a lot. It's really striking. Even better on her skin than on the glove, yeah? But it works. And technical stuff, probably some parts are more simple, yeah? But the placement of highlights is very good. The separation of everything, it's very good. It's more very comic, dark linking, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it works very well. Things I maybe would change. It's the sword handle, the first could be just a little bit brighter. That's something that it's a secondary focus point, but it's so extended that it should be illuminated a little more, yeah. And also, I think maybe the top part of her hand, but I have to look at different angles. I don't have the back. Oh,
yeah.
Someone's cheating. The back is not painted for
cleverly haven't given us a back photo.
We can't see it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I think it's a very good piece. I don't know, what do you think, guys? Even if you look at the colors, there's a lot of color. Yeah.
Yeah. So you covered a lot. Yeah, you covered a lot straight away. I love seeing a lot of color in things. That's one of my biases or preferences. For me, I love when I see someone this compared to the first one that we looked at. If we look at the red strap, the color is all in the right place. The shadows are in the right place. It's all rolling together. They're the little elements that you're looking for when you're painting at a master level. I think everything Radav said covers it pretty well. I probably would have liked to have seen potentially a little more light into the very top of the hair, but I understand why maybe that wasn't chosen, as you've got a pretty strong light source down in the lantern. I think you could have almost just stuck with the gold motif for the handle as well, on the sword. It's a very strong yellow, non-metal metallic gold. It always looks great when it's executed correctly, and more is better in that regard for me. So yeah, love it. Enjoy the colors, and I really like the gradient or the transition on the thighs as well. That can be a bit of a bogey spot for painting, making sure that magenta rolls nicely to the forefront of the thigh. And I just think you do it really well. So pat yourself on the back for that.
I'm going to try and be critical. I also really like this. The rim light from this photo, I can't see the exact placement of the lantern. The rim light feels like it stops too sharply. I feel like there should be some carryover.
That's why I told you, it's too like it's cheating, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a photo.
Yeah.
This is painting for a photo.
So I think there should be more spillover onto the worn leg. I also agree with your perspective that I would like to have seen more light on the hair, and making that element a little bit more reflective. This arrow head type element, I'm not sure if it's meant to be a crystal, but it doesn't actually read as a crystal. I think when you look at it from here, it sort of looks like it's trying to be steel, and so I think there needed to be maybe some more white edging or something similar so that you can actually genuinely tell it's a crystal. And the final two observations are, I think the leather texturing is again probably a little underdone. We've got a few little sort of scratches here, but it feels a little plain. And when you've got such soft skin and well rendered elements, I think a textural change would have helped. And then I feel like the cloak might have some incorrect placement of light based on what I can see from here, and from this angle here. But by not providing a photo, I can't be sure. So I'm going to give you a half a point.
Just on the where the light is touching the thigh, is there a strap also there? I think there is, isn't there?
There is a
like
strap.
The very first time I saw this, I was like, oh, that's just a strap with a little bit of light on it.
Well, there's a strap here, and then that strap goes around the back of the leg. But
yeah, so let's say we're struggling with a bit of focus on what that strap
but even with the strap, there should still be some spillover, I think.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. I like my very first take was that that's just a strap and a strap alone, and that was like the color of her lower, like I don't know, what are they, stockings, like.
It's a strap, but like it's also like painted in that color, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I think you're right. Like it should be a little more spill of that like light there, like on that thigh. And yeah, I would also agree that maybe just like adding a little more texture to the leather parts.
Not a lot, because you've got a nice smooth sort of composition, but just a little bit more texture and nuance in those elements would have been nice. We haven't commented on the eyes, which is a good sign. The eyes are quite beautiful, and well done. So
I've gone from quite a jarring where we were looking in the beginner level to get legible eyes to like, and this is probably really good if there are any beginners who have come to watch this as well. This is sort of what we're talking about with eyes, really looking like eyes and in the right place, in the right direction, focused. And
so in metal contention from my perspective.
Yeah, from mine.
Okay. I'll make a note of that in a second. Number 3. What was that? No, number 81. 82. We have a Screaming God, and Red Av, you can start us off on this one while I make some notes.
Unfortunately, the first thing I see here is like that chest, yeah.
His armor plates, you mean? The armor plates on his chest.
Yeah, the armor plates on his chest. Like it was, I think this, like we could like quote Admiral Akbar, and this sculpture is a trap, yeah. Honestly, I don't know. The other versions had the same problem. Probably it's sculpted in a way that like it like intense, like shows you that maybe it's good to outline all of those muscles on the like arms, yeah, but it's too much, yeah, really too much. Like I like the, let's say, the placement of light on his leg. You can see the musculature. That's cool, yeah. That works, but like here it's just too much, yeah. I would like make it more like smooth, just show the general shape of the torso, not the exact like each one of those muscles. Like there are too much of separation here, yeah. That said, I like that I don't know if I should go back to it, but like it's shaded quite nicely. Like everything has like a colder atmosphere. I won't say it's blue, maybe it is, yeah.
Shade with blue,
But,
shade with blue.
but really it accents that that contrast of like warmth and cold, yeah. And also like that whole part on the bottom, like look at the legs could have more light in the non-metallic metal, but I think now it works. If you would add too much, then they would shine too much and like detract the attention from the upper part. And like there's like a darker part that like allows you to have that space for the lantern to glow. And I think the glow of the lantern, like it's like that's super strong, but it's like quite nicely executed. Yeah, I like it quite a lot. On the upper part, I think the head, like the forehead, should have a little more light. Like part of it is like lit, part of it is not. Yeah, I would add more. Yeah, even like the glove like has like a nice non-metallic metal like refinement. So the one thing maybe I would tone down a little is the cross behind him. I think the saturation is just a little too much. Yeah. Even the foliage is a little toned down. Yeah, and the cross is like sticks out like from behind. Yeah.
I'm actually really fixated on that cross because it's a green element, and we don't have any green in the metal, and I think that because of that, we're sort of missing some harmony of the model and the base. It's getting away with it because of the lantern, but when you move away from that, you've got green and then you've got blue, and the two don't really read as well together. Those muscles, there is actually another version of this that we'll see later on, which renders them significantly better than this. So whomever did this, what we want to see is a little bit more like this one you'll see down the track. It's too harsh. That is not 6 individual
what you're
pieces.
Talking about, yeah, what you're talking about here is muscle separation, right? And like, I don't know if you ever, looking at bodybuilders is like, for them to reach this level of separation in their muscles, and that's the peak of humans pushing it, like, it's absurd, you know what I mean? Like, to be able to define a muscle that far each time, like for each individual muscle. So it has to be treated more like a whole than what it is. Yeah, this guy is outstanding when it comes to swelling each one of those muscles individually.
I think the hair's probably not differentiated enough from the fur. They both feel too similar in terms of value and in terms of colour. I don't get enough focus on the face, and I think you're absolutely bang on. We really needed a stronger light there, and that's actually an interesting observation. It's breaking one of the rules, right? And I talk about this a little bit. There's a thing called the rule of cool, I like to call it. That head is probably highlighted pretty accurately, given that the model is tilted down. His head's facing downwards. But sometimes you need to break away from what would be perfectly accurate to create that focal point, to create interest in that area. And I think to really draw your gaze to the face, we needed to see more light on that area somehow. And whether that's also a darker hair color to help frame that face, maybe is a better approach. So
it doesn't always have to be adding more light either to the face. It can be darkening the other elements, right? That's another option you have too. Like the light in the chest is it?
I wouldn't darken
that too bright.
In this case, the chest steals the attention. Yeah, so like either you darken the chest or like highlight
that's
the
what I was
chest.
thinking.
That's choices. That's why I was studying. Like for me, the forehead could be just a little bit brighter. Yeah, but and I also agreed. Like that there is a little green. Like just
little,
look at his like in the shadows, like some parts. But I would go like stronger, be more brave with it, because like it would fit more to the cross,
Yeah. See, this angle you don't see an awful lot of green, and I think it would have really, just brought the model and the base together a little bit more, as well as here. There's all this blue here, and then there's no blue anywhere else on the model other than these elements. Now, in terms of Kingdom Death, I don't think there's blue skies, just quietly. Feels pretty depressing. So, yeah, the blue feels out of place. It's one of those examples of when Christoph's shade with blue might be wrong. It's probably on the cusp. Probably on the cusp for me. What are your thoughts?
Don't spread heresy.
On the cusp.
On the cusp. Like, we could consider it. We will see what's the rest of the entries. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like a runner-up for sure. Yeah.
Yep. Number 83. It looks like we've got two models here. We have the wonderful Halloween lady Pinup, Ringtail Vixen, and we also have a Butcher Pinup, two wonderful models that we've seen a number of excellent versions of. Allow me to kick us off. We'll probably choose the Ringtail Vixen. I think you can see a pretty clear gap in terms of skill level from this piece to some of the other pieces we've looked at in the Masters category already. We've got probably photos that aren't quite in focus enough, depth of field issues. We have some value contrast issues where we're not probably getting enough value in each of the individual areas, and some separation of individual elements. I will say that I think the colour palette is probably my favourite of all of the ones we've seen of this. It's a secondary triad, purple, green and orange, and the way that those colours have been used and incorporated feels really nice. Just some focal point issues, some fundamentals around things like the hair. Definitely needs some improvement to be in contention in Masters. Proceed, Bucks.
So for me, I'm not seeing probably enough control in the shadows on this piece. Like, the lowest part of the pumpkin looks pretty close to the top part of the pumpkin. So especially on the largest pumpkin that she's sitting on, that would need to be a lot darker moving toward the bottom for me. Especially, again, I guess we've hit this a couple of times, but Kingdom Death seems to be a lot of it is about atmosphere, and getting that atmosphere right really lends to the to the piece, and this just doesn't feel like it's sort of anywhere. It just feels like it's just lit. Everything is lit the exact same. Probably some technical application elements, as well as assembly elements. There's some separation issues with some of the elements as well, like the lantern, for example. There shows that there's some indication of wanting to get some light going there, but it's all a little bit out of focus for me. I do like the baseball bat. I think that's pretty cool. I like some of the texture that's in the wood. I like the way that each of the studs has been pulled out. I like that you can see a nice dark shadow. So that's a great example, actually. Look at the dark shadow on the studs, and then look at the no dark shadow on the pumpkins at all or anywhere else around that area. So that actually has to be everywhere. So for me, I'd like to see some lining surrounding the non-metal metallic on her belt, separating it more clearly from the skin on the underside, matching that non-metal metallic on the bat as well. So that's some of the things for me.
Okay. I think you've mentioned quite a lot of things that I see here. I would agree that I think that for this sculpture, for the competition that we've seen, the versions of it, I think it's the best one.
Yeah.
But there's really for Masters, if you want to step up, with this piece, I think the person should think more about just light placement, for example, the skin tone, it's a little too flat in my opinion, it should be, it should have some top highlights. You miss it, and even if you look at the face, it's a little brighter and even a little different in tone, and the rest is just more flat, so going to that direction of the face would be better. and even highlighting a little of the face a little more, yeah, and then just like highlighting the rest of the body as the face is now, yeah, could be very cool. I agree that like the pumpkins could need some more shadow, especially closer to the base. The thing that you always do in like miniatures, like the painters that paint really well, is that gradation, that the parts that are higher on the miniature are just brighter. Then the more you go down, the shadows get deeper and the highlights get a little like less prominent, yeah. And like that's something that you have to have in mind, because like, it focuses your attention to the upper part of the miniature, and here everything is like the same, yeah. So I think just like it misses more of those advanced like topics, yeah, like concepts, yeah.
It shows some understanding of the concepts in the green strapping, or like the green pattern, the green and black pattern on her legs. You can see that it's getting darker as we wrap around to the underside of her. So you're showing that you know and understand that, but that's got to reflect through the whole piece. I think the other one, and I'm just going to get this one out there now because this is probably a good one. There is definitely space for texture in skin, gender aside, but generally with female skin, there is a level of smoothness that needs to be executed at a higher level as everything is just softer in general. So this is sort of lacking that, especially around the transitions on the boob and on the stomach for me.
Yeah. I just want to call out the non-metallic metal on things like those rivets and on these things. There's some good understanding of how it should look there. So, I think something I said yesterday in intermediate is dress for the job you want, not the one you've got. And it's good to see this person is putting themselves in masters, because they obviously have some understanding of those elements and just really need to push more. So, not a medal. Good on you for throwing yourself into the wolves, mate. Well done.
Yeah. I actually really liked the crotch material that you painted. That looked like the green crotch looked awesome. So well done on that.
All right, we have another beautiful butcher pinup. I'm going to give slight potato photo issues here. The looks like it's a little underlit, the overall model, and we've got some slightly out of focus shots. So I really love the color choices in this piece. I really think we've got interesting magenta, purple tones in the fur and on the base, but I don't see enough of that in the skin, and I think that's maybe a missed opportunity to incorporate more of this magenta color into the skin. There's good usage of OSL in a subtle way, in a way that doesn't detract from the focal points. Particularly on the back, you can see evidence of how that's well executed, neatly done. I just probably think this person, this entrant, whomever they are, just needs to continue pushing contrast in nearly every area. The skin, more value contrast. The bone, more contrast. The fur, more contrast. Because this feels like a grayscale picture would be pretty similar across the whole piece, and it's a shame because there's very clear skill in application, in placement of lights, in everything. But as Christoph says, just needs to be braver. Braver. Put more color in shadows. Put more color in your highlights, and really go hard. Like we're not here to fuck spiders. Just get stuck in. Give us some fucking value, mate. I want to see it.
It's detracting from the flesh. The flesh on this and the light placement on this is like probably for me one of the best so far. Like I really enjoy the way the flesh looks, but everything around it just feels like it's not adding to it. It feels like it's taking away from it.
Red Av.
I only have a couple of other things that are like basing stuff. So if you guys want to go hard,
go Red Av.
That up at the end.
Yeah, like I agreed. Like the color composition is very good, really. Like this thing that you see from the start, like the warmth and the coldness of like that violet. It's very cool, yeah. And just like going with it a little stronger, like as you mentioned, would be better, yeah. So like it's visible on the base, that's okay. Maybe just like sending some of the details of the base would be better, because like when you start to talk about it, it's like very simple, and like close to her feet it looks like airbrushed, yeah. I would just like need a little more information there, yeah. But if you look at the whole piece, like let's say there's some hints of that like color in the skin, but maybe I don't know, maybe it's the photo, maybe it's like the color that is so like this, but like the hair should be reflected just a little, like that bounced light should be visible a little in the skin, yeah. And there are some just like elements you could like go like more brave, because like if you look at the leather parts, they are just flat, yeah.
Yep.
They need more, like say on the arm, on that like arm piece, yeah, here it's you have that highlight, just a little bit of it on the axe, also on those straps, but why on the I don't know, pants, no, and on the like boobs, yeah, here those straps just flat, yeah, on the like the headpiece also, yeah. So you need to finish those pieces, yeah, those elements, and also like, even on the like that lantern, yeah. Some parts of the metal also should need a little more information, yeah, just like to add some, even like, because it's a good base, even if you add some dots, scratches of a texture or something, that's sufficient, yeah. That's that much, yeah. And you can see that person knows that technique, because like if you look at the axe, yeah, there's a lot of like that dot scratches and stuff. Just add more, yeah, be brave, yeah. And that's maybe something that like I would just like try to do on this piece, just add more information and maybe a little of that like violet in the deeper shadows of the skin.
Just if you watch the intermediate stream, the piece that we awarded third place, the hair from the back shot of that has a really beautiful underlit magenta color, and I think something that really leaned into that more might have benefited this piece. So what do you reckon, Bucks?
Yeah. I mean, for me, the two elements that I really wanted to talk about in basing, and whenever we get the opportunity to have some basing, it's good to talk about it. If you're going to have a fall off effectively, so if you look at the back where like we have the base itself and then moving to the black, that needs to be really smoothed out and nice. Like it needs to be polished. The rim needs to be fully blacked out as well. But this is one of those bases where you have a face built into the ground. You guys are seeing that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just like that element is completely lost because it's been overcooked. Now, you obviously don't want to make that element overtake your model in any way, shape, or form. But if you're going to go to the effort to put that in there, then I have to see it, right? It can't be enough for that. For me, that's an element that I like to look at in more elaborate basing.
Yep. Not in the medals. Good entrant, well placed. 85. Kick us off, Red Av.
You're clever. Okay, there are some parts that are more finished, some are less. Yeah, like you can clearly see it. Yeah, I like the base, how the torches like illuminate like the bottom part. Like there's like it's painted on. That's very cool. Yeah, but if you look, let's say on the ground, there's like a white line, like rim around the torches, but the torches inside are just yellow. Yeah, and like it's like a weird thing, because like in the middle of the torch it should be more white, just to convey that like glow even more. Yeah, I would add a little more. Yeah, and the metallic parts are like really simple. Yeah, the torches. Like I'm going from the bottom. Yeah, so like I will go higher. Yeah. Some parts of the red could need like a little more highlight. Actually, I like the eyes that are like sticking out from the back. Yeah, maybe a little more separation. Let's say the eye that is in the eye socket, like it misses a little of that separation from the red. Yeah. I like the skin tone. It's the face is quite nice, really. Yeah, like the shades under the chin. That's cool. One thing that if you paint like those are anime faces. Yeah, most of them are sculpted like a triangle. Yeah, and if you put a lot of highlight on the bottom of the chin, yeah, here, it accents that. Yeah, so try to place it just under the lip and like around the bottom part. Yeah, just like with shade, and it will like make a more round face, and also extending the highlights under the eyes, like in the direction of the hair, could be beneficiary. It would like widen the face just a little bit more, yeah. But that shade is cool. That reflection on the chin, on the side, is very cool. That's why I like the face. Also, I think the bigger swatches of hair on the top part of the head, yeah, are cool. And in some places, let's say on the left part, like where you have those head strands, hair strands, the placement is a little weird. Like it doesn't add up with the placement on the head, yeah. Some parts of the separation, like of let's say on her like bra on the boobs, yeah, are a little too thick. Like it's very thick, yeah. Like that dark line is too strong, yeah. And I know it's a bigger piece, like it's like I think 55, 54, 52, something like this, yeah. So in some parts a little more highlight, in some parts being more coherent and just like being like tidy about like that separation of elements. But the skin tone, like the shades, look very nice. I won't like judge the blending that much. I would probably need more, but like being more consistent here would be better for that piece. Yeah.
I'm gonna go hard
Maybe.
here, Bucks. I'm gonna go real hard. So you go next.
Also, sorry.
Yeah, you can go super hard. For me, I'm actually, if you're gonna go hard, I'm gonna be in the middle of the sandwich here and just say I agree with Redav. Like the face, the cheek, I just really enjoy looking at that. That's probably the highlight of this piece for me. I think you got that right. I love the reflection on the lower part of the chin. It really sells. I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more done with the eyes to match that level. Outside of that, I'm going to hand it over to Trent.
Did you have anything else, Redav?
Yeah. I just like also like saw the back, yeah, and like that scratch mark on the shoe is like I would fix it, yeah, because you can see like it's like gray and you have like that part something like sticking from underneath, yeah.
Yep.
It's just like torn. For photos for a competition, you should like watch out for stuff like this, yeah. Sometimes when painting, you can like rub off the paint with a finger or something like this, but you have to then at the end just fix it all, yeah.
Yep. All right. This has one element that is painted to a very high standard, and that is the skin tone. I think the skin tone is really lovely to see the pinkness, the redness, the placement of the lights, the face in particular, really nicely executed. Every other element is nowhere near that level. The true metallic metal just looks like it's been painted on without any highlighting. That may be photography. It may be that the actual work needs more time spent on shading the true metallic metal. The red is obviously a really challenging color to paint. Your highest value areas on this are a mid-tone, and there's very little shading or shadowing in the red. Its vibrancy and saturation is drawing your gaze away from the figure. This hair color is nowhere near bright enough and rendered enough to create contrast and make it look like hair. The purple feels out of place and detracting. The pink feels like it's not highlighted accurately and correctly. So overall, I think this painter has correctly judged their placement in the competition, but has several areas they can they can improve. So
Yeah, even like you tell that the violet like it's out of place, but you could make it work. Yeah, adding a little more of that violet to the shadows, to even like shading the bag a little with it. Yeah, would make it more coherent. Like just like if you add like color like this, you have to hide it somehow. Yeah, just like in the shadows or something that will make more like ambience, and like that violet contrasts quite nicely with the yellow of the lanterns. Yeah, so just use that like complementary color more. Yeah.
yeah. Not in the metals. We move on. Andy, you can kick us off on this particular model.
Yeah, well, I guess like I think this is the first time I've seen this one, so I'm just going to go over some of the elements that I'm enjoying to start with. Quite like the non-metal metallic on the sword, and I enjoy the lantern and how it's kissing the sword, but only softly. That's probably a really good example of OSL and distance between the source of light and what it's hitting. It's another example of pretty nice skin tone, like the color choices. The face is pretty subtle on this. I would have liked to have seen probably a more in-focus photo for that. Separation looks pretty sound.
Which one do we judge here? Because there's two entries.
I wanted to say, like, I think that the second one is better.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah.
But the first one is also good. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very close to each other, like, and they offer strengths in different areas. So,
yeah.
Which one shall we just vote? Which one we want to take?
Well, I would probably take the second one. I think there's more. Yeah.
There's a stronger photo as well. So.
Stronger photo, but also look like there's like texture on the chest. Yeah, there, like even the mug and stuff. Like the highlights on the dress, like on the blue part, is very, very nice. Yeah, I think it's a stronger piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So this is an interesting one stylistically, because this is very different to how I approach painting skin, how I approach painting in general. We've got softer blends here, and then you go into these sharp contrasted fabrics and textured fabrics. So you're creating a visual change in all three of those elements, which I really like. I think, you know, my feedback around hair is always hypercritical, because I think so many people make it look like sausages, and that's just detracting from the overall effect. And this is an area that really stands out to me with the sausage hair, because everything is got such control over the technical skill. It feels weird to me that this painter would make that choice. You know, even if the sculpt has that much separation in the elements, you can work around that. You know, that's a real weakness of this overall piece. And my second observation: if you're going to use a painted backdrop, the painted backdrop needs to add something to the piece. I'm not sure if this one does. I don't think it detracts from it, which is a bonus. But the thing that stands out to me is there's these light rays coming down from the left, but then it doesn't feel like we've incorporated those light rays into the model. Now I don't know if that's because they're intended to be windows and the model's sitting in front of the windows, but I think that's a missed opportunity to have that backdrop be adding some value into the actual piece. So what do you think, Redav?
Yeah, I think you're right, but the problem here is like even for me, like painting a scene like this, like to incorporate the character with a scene like this, would need probably to like have the light just move on the whole scene, like being from the left, and you would have to paint a lot of cast shadow, yeah, to make it work. So it's a like I would call it like a very advanced topic, yeah. It's not something that is like quite easy. So I get how it works. I don't think like the background detracts something from the piece. I think it builds up like a nice like story, but just like we miss probably that element that combines the miniature like more in the terms of atmosphere with the back, because still like from what we see now it looks like more like a miniature, like in front of a painting. Like it would be. It's reminiscent to something like you would have on a stage of a theater.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
observation. Yep.
Yeah.
What about the ground is different as well between the base and then the background. They're different textures. So we have bricks and then just not bricks at all. It's like a completely different.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. You could paint it like this, like the bricks continue a little to the background, then they merge because you lose like from the focus, the detail and stuff. It could be like this, yeah, but it has to be like a way to combine both, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I don't know if you noticed, like the barrel is very flat, yeah. So like I would probably just add a little more texture highlights to show the grain of the wood, yeah. Just a little bit more. For me, it's just like too simple and flat compared to like say the top of her dress. Like it's so textured, so refined. It's like for me, this part and the skirt is the best part of the miniature. Yeah. Like by far. Yeah.
But
and also the highlight.
Yeah.
Highlights on the hair are good, like the placement of it. Like, but that separation is very tricky. I don't know how the sculpture looks. Sometimes it is like this, like we had with the example of that like guy with the torso, yeah. Sometimes the sculpture guides you too much, and the thing is that you have to ignore the sculpture completely. Yeah? If it's like too strong, the hair strands are too separated, ignore it. Just paint one like bigger highlight, and that's it. Yeah, it will work better, look more natural. It's not that you have to completely paint the sculpture how it is. Yeah, because like sometimes it's just sculpted in a wrong way. And we as artists can change it to a degree.
Just one thing that you said, Radav, with the barrel is like I was going to mention this before. Is when you're choosing to pull things in and out of focus with the level of refining that you do on something, I think you've got to be really careful of what that is that you're doing. And this barrel is huge, so like not having those extra bits of details at least towards the top of the barrel at a minimum to like match the rest of her. And then the bricks as well are very, very flat, and then the beer on the ground is quite flat as well. It doesn't transition nicely for me. It's sort of like we have this lovely detail throughout the top of the dress into the apron, the beers, the non-metal metallic, and then it just sort of goes off. But then if you look, it comes back again for her feet. So the detail's all there in the feet. So it seems a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, but there's things like that. Like we can like maybe talk about this even more, because like I think it's a nice example, like even for the people that are like listening, watching. Yeah, the cool thing about this one, like even if it's done not intentionally, maybe intentionally, I don't know, there are some pieces that attract our attention quite strongly. Yeah, like it's not the boobs, but just the chest, like because of it's white, but also nicely rendered, textured. Yeah. The hair also, like because the color is like the orange, it's more like saturated, and also those highlights are very good. The face, like just is hidden a little, yeah, in it, yeah. And also like the dress, the blue part, yes, it's very highlighted, like almost shining, yeah. And then you have that like that lid of the barrel, and then the barrel, yeah, and the parts of the wood that are very dark accent the glow of the barrel. Yeah, so here when like looking at this whole piece, there's a lot of contrast between like just like the level of highlight. So it like in this, it's a cool thing that you can do on a miniature, and you can control it because some parts are just more like flat and attract less attention. Some parts are more like rendered and attract more attention. And I don't know if it was done intentionally, but still. Looking at the wood, looking at the skin, I would add just a little bit more highlight. Yeah, for me the skin is a little too flat and the wood is a little too flat.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's one thing that really stands out to me, and it's something we talked about in the very first piece, which is placement of lights and consistency of lights. It feels really, really well executed on all of the skin and the torso and the chest, and I love the different textural elements. But this barrel piece here feels really incorrect to me. It stands out because we've got this light here on the rim that she's holding feels like the spot that the light should be hitting. Feels like it's in line with everything else. And then this highlight is on the front, right? It's as if there's a spotlight coming from the front, and that is just inconsistent with the lighting on this section up here. And then we also miss that same sort of light over here on the barrel rim, on the mug rim. And I think it's a really important observation that non-metallic metal, to get it right is a mission in and of itself. But when you have different metal elements, they all need to be reflecting the same light source for the piece to read correctly, and that jumps out to me as something that isn't correct.
Mm-hmm.
Do we place it in the metals?
For me, like, it's a strong contender.
Yeah, I think it definitely, where we had one like sitting just on and then just out, it definitely is on the just on for me, like, for sure.
Also in the metals for me.
I guess one last little note for that one that I had was that, like, red, white, and blue, putting those colors together can often indicate something like very similar to Christmas colors, like green, red, and white. And I just thought that those choices where those colors came in value was really well done.
Yeah.
So,
hello there from Spain. Hello, friends. We have another one of these Screaming God pinups. This one actually looks like it's the smaller scale. So they did a painter's scale and a smaller version of this, I believe. This one looks like it's the smaller one. Unfortunately, we're dealing with some potato photo issues. We're dealing with some value contrast issues. We're dealing with some really clear separation issues, and this overall feels like it's lacking a clear focal point. I do think the green color is a little bit disjointed from all of the other color elements, and some clear issues here on this one. I think we need to probably get back to the fundamentals for this painter and continue.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would agree.
Not in the medals, unfortunately for you, number 87. 88. A Christmas lady pin-up thing. Potato photo camera award potential here, because that's an absolute Barry Crocker. This one's better. Stick with the white background, it's working much better for you. Again, I'll repeat the same piece of feedback that we just had on the last one. We've got a real lack of value contrast across the piece, particularly on the skin tone. There's not enough definition from light to dark in those elements. Some light placement issues on the hair. Probably some overall stylistic choices. The white snow is too white. That then draws your gaze downwards away from the figure because it's so bright. It hits you in the face. The eyes are reasonably well done, and something that we talked about in beginners is when you get eyes wrong, it's noticeable. When you get them just the impression of eyes, it works well, and those eyes read quite well to me. So I will call out in particular the Christmas lights down the bottom. That's a nice element and it's well done, but significant fundamental issues and other elements. Christoph?
Yeah, like for me, like I agree, but like that's compared to the last one, yeah, that's like very cool example of being accurate when like laying the base paint, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like quite tedious. It's nice, yeah. You can see the miniature, like as you mentioned, the eyes are like well like placed, yeah. Now it's just like for that person that has to like work. Now you need shading,
yeah,
and now you need highlight. yeah,
Yep.
because like you miss it, yeah. The best piece, the best part of the whole piece are those like glowing lights,
Yep.
yeah. Because there's more information, like something's happening, yeah.
Yep.
Here it's a nicely like a base painted sculpt, yeah, and then you have to shade and highlight, yeah. That's I think the good way to go further. Don't do like the directional light sources like from the start, but like a zenithal light, like from more of the highlights from above could be good, and just like try to think in this way, yeah.
Yeah, and smack that ass as well. Like redden up those cheeks, mate. We need to give her a little bit of something happening on the side there. Anything from you, Andy?
I had to open a door quickly for someone, so I missed a little bit of that, so apologies to the painter. I won't add too much because I think you both probably would have covered it. Did you talk about like the OSL difference between doing some of the indications of it on those little lantern parts, but yeah, sorry,
Yep.
on the little Christmas light parts, yeah, on the lantern, it's just sort of been completely abandoned. So.
Yep. Good, not in the medals, unfortunately for you, number 88. But as Christoph said, you've got the framework there to continue to refine and improve from. So we'll move on to this piece, and I'm really interested in your thoughts on this piece, friends. Andy, we might kick off with you, buddy. This is a Storm Knight pinup.
All right. Well, I mean, it's probably one of the most elaborate bases we've seen so far.
Certainly in Masters,
It's
That's
extremely loud. And I mean that like with visual noise. And I'm getting a little bit lost on the model versus the background. Like it's all blending in fairly heavily for me. I don't know whether that's just because of the angle you've chosen to present of the photo. So I would probably start to consider negative space when doing a fairly elaborate base like this, and how using that negative space to frame your model could be more advantageous. As for the color palette, I mean, we're in a fairly like desaturated space here. I enjoy it. I think it looks cool. Can we go back to the front view just to have a look at the lighting? So I guess we're in a fairly like a high range of color. There's a lot of white through everything that we're doing here, and that's making my eyes struggle to differentiate between all the different elements a little bit for me. So that's sort of my initial take straight off the bat. I think the non-metal metallic is at an intermediate level rather than a master's level. I think the gold is having some issues reading in places. This is another example of individually capturing areas rather than taking or considering everything as a whole. We do see some elements where you have considered it as a whole, particularly the arm brace on the right side. On those two lower rings, we can see the light affecting each of those correctly, and that's why it's reading to me. But then some of the other areas around it are not. I like the influence of cold blue coming through on her legs. I enjoy that. I think it mirrors the cold nature of the piece itself. But sometimes having some warm elements come in as well can help sort of balance it out. Like everything feels incredibly cold in this. And combining those two together can really give you an advantage. So that's where I would start.
Christoph?
Yeah, in my opinion, the whole scene it's just overloaded. Like it's too much detail in the background. Yeah, and it's not that like it's a bad base. Yeah, looks cool. Yeah, the problem is that like you don't see the miniature in it. Yeah, the miniature is just like very bright in terms of skin tone, and you have that white everywhere on the base. And one thing I noticed, like I really like the turquoise jade in the shadows on the smoke, but also on her. Like you can see on the side photo, like there's like a line of shadow, nicely visible, and it generates like a very cool, like the whole piece is more like pastel-like, yeah. And that like feeling of it like being desaturated in some parts, it's very cool. And you could go on with this, yeah, just like extend it. So the reason the miniature is not visible because it's just too much white everywhere, yeah. So I would just take an airbrush, yeah, take that turquoise and just spray it mostly on the parts of the leaves, on the bottom of the base, yeah, just to form like a clear space of like maybe light around her, yeah, and the rest I would just like cover with like shades of turquoise to tone it down, and you would have like a nice base with a focus point of white on the miniature, yeah. And I miss it really. Like it's visible on the shadows on the character, but there should be a little more visible on the whole base, yeah. And I also agreed like the gold could be better, yeah. It's like it is like more like not master execution of gold, yeah, like or like patina or something like this, yeah.
I'm ready to unload.
Do you guys? Okay. Just before, do you feel that this is one of the most considered in regards to atmosphere and incorporating the atmosphere of like where this model is into the model itself?
Yes.
And it's just a lack of execution more than anything else.
Maybe. I mean, so she's a smoke knight, and so I think that trying to lean into the ethereal nature of it is working. All right, I'm gonna go fucking hard. The base is shithouse, right? Not the trees. The trees I really like, but I think I would change them significantly. But the base is a big, fat lump of white with tufts, and it looks just dog shit, right? The second part that makes it look dog shit is your model's hanging over the front of it like she's just... It doesn't look like she's levitating here. It looks like she's planted her foot on nothingness, and that is also an automatic negative mark from me. The way you could have saved this base is strip that lower part down, right? You've got a very elegant and sophisticated shape on this model, and you've put it on a big block of cheese. So if you turn that lower section into something more elegant, more triangular, that maybe started at a wider base and then came upwards into her, and as Andy said, the negative space. If the trees are framing the outside of the model and the model is standing in the center of them, all of a sudden you've got her as the focal point, you've got a clear line of negative space around her, and all of the lines of the model are flowing you into the center of the composition. As it is, all I look at is this big chunk down the bottom of white, and she gets lost. And the color in the trees is my favorite thing. Like, I think it's really cool to see all of those colors, and then those colors brought into the model as well. It's a really great idea that's been executed poorly because of the composition. I agree completely with Christoph. These touches of turquoise are the highlight for me. I think there's lots of great nuance there. I think you could have leaned maybe even more into the turquoise and pushed, maybe more shadows. It sort of feels like it's maybe, as one of the people in the chat said, more of like a patina effect. And I don't know that that's quite working as well as it could on the smoke, but the turquoise is a winner. Incorporating it more and maybe in a more sophisticated way would get some really big bonus points from me. The gold is also intermediate level or bronze, whatever it is. The fact that we can't tell what it is a problem. So, not getting a medal from me, but I like the trees a lot.
The trees are really nice. I think when you do start to step into the space of really elaborate bases, you really have to like consider everything that you're doing. Like, there's way too much snow like on that base, I think personally, and I think it's too big.
Way too big.
Out, like, look how much of that is just rock.
It's just
but not rock, I guess. You could have cut that clean in half, I believe, and it would have been a better effect.
Yep.
So.
All right, 89. I hope you're still feeling fine. 90, number 90. What do we got going on here? Oh, this Pashka, or however you pronounce it, with another elaborate base. Maybe you could take your photos from further away as well. That'd be helpful. Maybe if you could go about 8 meters away from the photo, that'd be great.
This is going to be pretty hard to judge, like with how far away.
Christoph, go son, go. Tell me what you got.
Well, we're a master level.
Did you change your name to
needs
Christoph,
be-
did you, Andy? You dickhead.
Huh?
I said Christoph, but that's okay. You go, Andy. We'll let
Oh,
you go.
apologies. I didn't hear. I must have lagged out. Sorry, I just thought you said go, Andy. My bad. Sorry, guys.
But go, mate.
No, good. Then they go.
Well, we've got terrible weather down here right now, so it's playing up. Yeah, I mean, you're having to zoom this far just to get a clean look at the models. So for me, that's a pretty big one for Masters level. The photo needs to be much better. We saw, I think, another version of this in beginners, a very similar color palette. This is better executed than that, however, not by a great deal. So for me, yeah, it's.
I'll challenge you on that. The skirt is probably executed on the same level, but every other element is done significantly better. So, yeah, it is better executed.
The skin in the face is probably done a little bit better, but the lantern is still like in a space. Like the lantern to me looks pretty much just like a base coat of yellow. So I probably would have seen more in there. I do like things that I do like, so we'll start there. Well, I'll go to there. I like the OSL element. Like doing yellow OSL is not particularly easy, and I think it catches fairly nicely on the breasts. Ears are kind of cool. The face is rendered a lot better. The base is sort of not it for me. I'm not sure. There's a rabbit caught in a cage there. Probably being pretty harsh on this one, but yeah, that's it. That's how my first impressions of it. So
Go, Red Av.
Poor rabbit. No, I think it's like someone wanted to tell like a story here, yeah. And like the problem is that like the rabbit is like really dark there, yeah. And maybe just like placing the I would completely rebuild this, yeah. So like placing her on the upper part like exposes her so much that like you have to like really, I don't know, I know that the cage is visible, like, but it's not something that is obvious, yeah. I would probably limit the whole thing to a cage and then her standing close to the cage, and that's it. It would be like smaller but like more clear, yeah, in terms of the story. Also, you could play around more with the like the lantern light, maybe like let me take the bottom part, yeah. Also, like you have like a big contrast, yeah, like the whole base, everything, the rabbit, even like everything looks green, yeah. And then you have her like completely separated, yeah, from the whole scene, yeah. It's just too much. And the solution for this would be probably just shading the green with the like some violet purple, yeah, would like make it more like coherent. Also the blood is just red, yeah, it's just like just red, and like blood isn't like this, yeah, it's like more darker, like even stick, yeah. I like the OSL, yeah, like that hint is cool, but it's like not a level of execution like for master, yeah. Also the lantern, like if you look at the green, it's just like basic green, yeah. It's not no shading, no highlighting, yeah.
Yep.
So like, I miss a lot of things. In some parts it's done, yeah. Like for example the hair, yeah, you can see the highlights, yeah, for some parts, and for some parts it's completely not done, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't get it, yeah.
The face is the best element, I think, on zooming.
So, there's one positive that I'll take from this, and that is that the model is the clear focal point, right? She's high value. She's absolutely the front and centerpiece, which is what you want. Composition, talked a lot about it in this level. You know, composition needs to play a big role. And as Christoph said, the composition feels a little bit disjointed. You know, there's no connection between the two elements. We need the story to be evident and visible. You need to feel those two models that are in the same environment. The rabbit's just sort of sitting there like a dickhead, and she's up the top painting rose bushes with her red paint or something, right? And if you're going to paint marble, you need to do it a bit better than this. This is just fucking green squiggly lines on some rock. That's not marble, and there's a lot of really good ways you can approach doing marble that is natural and replicates marble in a much more convincing way with probably less effort than you put into this. Look up airbrushing with steel wool or cotton foam. Some really great techniques for marble. This is not marble, it's just green with squiggles. So We're not going to put you in the medals. Take better photos next time that puts focus on the parts of the model that you think are important. You know, you don't have to have all three of your models fully cropped out like this. You know, take a photo where you've just got the model and it's zoomed in and focused on her. Out of the medals. 91. We'll probably take a break after 92, I think. Let's dive into this 91, and we will start with you, Red Av, and that's Red Av, not Andy. Red Av.
That's the piece for me. This one is like very specific. I looked at it like earlier, like the moment you open it, it makes an impact. Yeah.
Yep.
And when you start to look, then you see the real truth about it. Yeah.
Yep.
And for me, it's just a very good composition of color. Yeah, it looks like crazy, but it works. Yeah. There's maybe too much focus on those green parts. Yeah. But like in all of it, like you can see the character. Yeah, her exposed. Maybe the dog is just like too much too hidden. Yeah. It's a cool like bed, like the person that made it like just like made some effort. I don't know if it's printed, I don't know how it's made, but like I can see some like printing lines on the like sheets, yeah. And that's something I shouldn't be able to see. That's the second part, yeah. It's more like a base coat of it all, like made with an airbrush, than actually like a finished piece, yeah. So for me, this looks like a very good piece, but a start without the finish. Yeah, there are some parts that are more refined, like maybe closer to the miniature, but the rest is just like base. Yeah, and I miss that definition. Like I don't know, maybe it's my preference. I don't like the finish of airbrush because it's so artificial. And like it should be painted more with a brush, yeah. Just like accented, even the edges of the bed and stuff, yeah. Like you just miss it, yeah.
Buxo?
For me, yeah, the bed screams. This is a great setup of underpainting, getting ready to have the brush be applied, and that was probably the big standout. Again, for me, another sort of weird placement on the dog with this model. I don't know what it is with this model choice, but all these different dogs in different places. I feel like I'm yet to see one that compositionally is really working for the piece. I enjoy her face, her skin tones, the light in which the way it's hitting her, combined with the cheeks. These cheeks are probably the most illuminated cheeks we've seen yet. So kind of cool, but yeah, it's hard to get past the bed stuff for me.
Yeah. So if this is your entry, if this little frame that I've just cropped here is your entry, we can probably have a good discussion about your piece. Unfortunately, this is not your entry. This is your entry, and you've given us an unpainted model. You've airbrushed 4 or 5 colours, and it looks sick, but it's just not finished. And it's a shame because I actually think that the hair on this piece is actually probably amongst the strongest hairs we've seen. It looks like hair, it looks glinty and reflective. When you stand back here, you're like, wow, she's got shiny, glossy hair. The face is awesome. You know, the detail, the way that it's been rendered. It's a great focal point of this model, and if every other element was fucking painted, it'd be sick. It's not. And so... yeah.
I think the person has that skill to do it, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm not even going to continue there because it's aggravating me how much it's not finished. And if you're going to enter a fucking competition, mate, do better. Come on. Would have been in contention.
You can't cheat us. You can't cheat us.
would have been in contention for some sort of medal if everything was rendered to the same level, without necessarily the same value as that model, but the same level. I will just make the observation. I do love the colours. So, saturation, generation, represent. Well done. Our final one before we take a break. It's the excellent inverted mountain pinup. Unfortunately, this could be the potato photo winner for the Masters category. We have a fuzzy background. We have a model that is out of focus. We have a wonderful little piece of something here that is actually more attention grabbing than the model because of the contrast of the white with everything else. It's just a very, very poor photo, and I think that's really hard for us to provide much good quality feedback when you have such a dog shit photo, honestly. Color choice is fine, green and red, good color combo. Skins are high value, stands out more than the other elements, but much too difficult to provide much more than that. Anything you guys want to add?
No,
Not for this one. I was pretty scathing on one before for a bad photo, so I'm just gonna leave it with what you say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, I think there's
yeah.
too much noise on, but like the one thing that the person should consider is like adding a little more highlight to the base. Like it looks like to just like dark play, yeah.
Yep.
But the other things that you mentioned, like I think I've read it, yeah.
Yep. Good. Excellent work. So we've gotten through half the entries now. We only have so far 2 that we are considering for medals. So that's good. We will take a break. Probably a 10-minute break, friends, and then we'll return and continue. So we'll see you all very soon. We're back, friends. We're back. Welcome back. Part 2 of the Masters stream underway right now, and we are going to kick straight into the next entry. It is a very nice Disciple of the Witch Pinup, the Painter's Scale. This is a model that we criticised in the intermediate stream for not having a photo of the face in the front on angle. That person did submit a photo of the front and just also had their name in that photo, and thus that particular entry was disqualified. Fun note for everyone in future entries: do not put the photo with your name in your best shot. And proceed. Andrew, you can kick us off on this one. Andrew Buckley.
Sure. So I'm immediately going to talk about something that I'm enjoying on this piece, and this is like with this particular model, it has a wonderful element that you can go to town with, and that is like the interaction between her and what she's looking at and doing. Right, she's playing a video game, so you get so much space in this area to tell the story, and I think this piece is doing it really well. We have like really clearly defined freehand on the cup with big gulp. We have a video game being played on the screen. I think there is an Easter egg as to who is playing the video game might be the same person who painted this. The pizza box has some really solid sound detail inside it. These are all the things that I am looking for at a master's level for miniature painting. I like skin tones. Their sound. Maybe I would have liked to have seen some more of the colour from the couch coming through onto her on the lower parts. We've got like light being cast from the TV, so you could probably have pushed some of that colour coming through. Yeah, I mean, if we rotate it around, it's really consistent around the whole way. The non-metal metallic reads pretty well on the inside thigh gold element. Is it an earring that she's got on the other side? That's probably a little bit fuzzy for me. It probably could have been a bit more shiny in that space.
I'm going hard.
So much.
I'm ready to go hard. I'm ready to go hard.
That probably needed to match. And I probably would have liked to have seen more of the couch come out as well.
Yeah.
But that's my first initial take.
What is this sloppy jalopies over here? Like, that is just poorly executed black lining that is actually really distracting on this element, and it's obviously something that the painter has the capability to correct and control when you see, you know, the area around the face, the clean lines around the face, the beautiful highlights on the eyes, and then we have this piece of shit over here. That's a big mistake, and in a online competition where we're looking at photo angles, that stands out as glaring to me. These are nice details, particularly the pizza box. The grease on the upper lid is a real standout. I do think the TV and the PlayStation, or whatever it is, Super Nintendo, are rendered a little bit on the flat side and could do with some more value contrast. I think where the model falls down overall is some of these other elements, like this eye. It's a huge eyeball, and it's painted worse than the eyes that are in this tiny eyeball. Why is that? Why is that gigantic eye done worse than the ones on the actual model? That makes no sense to me. There should be veins. There should be, really the striations inside the iris. You know, all of those details, and instead we just have a flat grey blob. I'm okay with the purple elements, but I don't love them. The hat is the best of them, but yeah, I think Andy's bang on when he says we could see more purple reflected in the skin tone, and potentially the other elements, like on this non-metallic metal here, some purple could have come in there. Yeah, so what are your thoughts, Christoph?
Yeah, it's good that I'm last, yeah, because I know Moses. So it's like I want to be objective, but I know his like painting process. So like to grill him a little, yeah, just like to roast him, yeah, a little. First of all, he always doesn't post the photos of the back, so we don't know actually if he painted, and I know sometimes he doesn't. It's a running joke, yeah, but like he painted the back, yeah, codename, okay, yeah, okay, but I don't see it. I think the highlight of the whole piece is the skin tone. It's the best rendered part, and looks very, very good. Really, like one of the best skin tones that we had, like in this competition, probably. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yep.
Especially the face, like that, like those small elements, and I know he's really good at it. Yeah, so that's something that is very valid. Yeah, there are some parts, like some small details, like you mentioned the big gulp drink, yeah, or like the pizza box. I think the pizza box is like just like perfect, yeah.
Yep.
Like you can even see like a small like smoke coming from the pizza, yeah. Painted on, yeah, or like the grease, like there's a lot of detail in a pizza box, like that's still like on the other part, like just like on the lid, it's very simple, yeah, or like the, I don't know, truck simulator game or something like this, yeah. So there are some like highlights, some small elements that make this piece work. The central focus is mostly on the skin tone, the rest is very sketchy. It's like he painted it very, very fast. Sometimes it looks like even based on, if you zoom into the hair, it's just like basic, just like almost based on, yeah. A little shading and that's it. No highlight. And compared to the face, yeah, of course it accents the face, but I miss a little of that like small highlight, a little like glow from the like hair strands, yeah. It's not there, yeah. So there are some parts that are more finished, some parts less, and I think it's not about the skill of the painter, it's just like him, I don't know, making like a faster job, yeah, or like just sketching it more, yeah, and it's just like personal choices, because I know he can paint really well. I don't know if you've seen his like interpretations of like Michał Pisarski's work or Kirill's, yeah. And he can paint really well, really. So it's more like personal choices, but it doesn't excuse him. Like so we see it. Yeah, it could be more refined, really. Yeah, and for me, I would add him to the list. Yeah, but like we have to compare to other works.
Yep.
If like for me, I know that there are some more finished works, really. Yeah?
Yep. It's in the middle for the moment. So. 93 gets added to the list. You can kick this one off. A Red Av. This is number 94. Another one of these glorious models, whatever its name is.
Okay. Yeah, I also don't know the name, but it's just tilted more. Yeah, it's like a little like to the side. The other versions were like more straight, like the position of the miniature is a little different. Yeah, I think like the shading is here, yeah, like you can see, I like that green glow, like it's very brave, like really, like at the bottom part. The problem is that it doesn't adapt to the base. I think it's from somewhere, maybe outside of the base, not for sure, not from the water, yeah. So like adding stuff like this, either you are very consequent and add it to everything and to the base and stuff, or mark a place that like makes that light, yeah. So here it's a little of it on the side of the base, but there's no like origin point, yeah. So doing stuff like this, either you turn it into like an ambient color, but it's like it eliminates most of it. So like we have that clear sign of just the whole atmosphere being like this, or you give like a source point for it, yeah. And here it's a little like wacky for me, yeah. I like the line highlight on the hair. It's quite nice, yeah. It like ignores a little of the sculpture, and there's like a clear line through it all, yeah. That's something cool. But still, like if you would look at the execution of it all, it's not that blended. It's not that clear. There are some like parts that are very messy. Even like the straps on her legs are like melting together with the skin tone. So in some parts I just miss that technical like finish, yeah? And here like in Master I think we should look at it quite a lot as that's not the level of like Master work, yeah. when it comes to
Yeah.
finish. Yeah.
The biggest issue for me, and one thing I want to commend, and something we've talked about, is being brave with your value contrast. This has the sort of level of value shift that I want to see from a master category. The problem is that they're not blended enough, they're not rendered well enough, and then there's a lot of inconsistencies around the actual direction of the light source. You know, we've got this inner thigh here, which looks like the light's coming from the right of the model, and then this is as if it's from underneath. That's inconsistent, and then it's also on the left. So as you said, there's no real clear sense of where the light is coming from. Why is this back thigh piece green? You know, that is she turning into the Incredible Hulk? I'm just not sure. I can't establish what the light is, where its placement is. So, good, brave value contrast attempt with some significant fundamental flaws on approaching the value and the light placement. Anything to add, Andy?
Probably everything that you've said. The cloak feels a little bit too sketchy. It doesn't feel like the transitions between the colours on the cloak are blended enough for me on that particular type of material. And I am a massive fan of contrast, but this is probably too much contrast in their hair for me.
Never.
Like it's the shiniest point of the model. So.
Never enough. Nah, good. 94, not in the medals. We proceed on to number 95. We have another wondrous ringtail vixen. This is the small pinup, and then we also have the ringtail vixen on the pumpkins. I think the larger of the two is the one to go for. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so for this one, some things that I enjoy. I enjoy that we are seeing the shade in this one towards the bottom of the miniature, especially surrounding those pumpkins. I'm seeing a shift in the color, which is showing me that light is affecting the miniature, which is good. We got I believe this is a true metal piece, right? From what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So it's probably in the intermediate level even for true metal. If we're going to go true metal, I want to see like colors in the true metal still. You know, I want to see either some patinaing or some browns, something that suggests it's alive in the world. Like, I don't know, it's probably not the right choice of word, but yeah. Skin tones feel a little bit flat for me. There doesn't really seem to be a shift in the light on the skin tone as much as somewhere like the pumpkin. Feels like the stomach, for example, is at the same level of light as the chest and then also the face. So again, something that Radav pointed out earlier on in the stream is that like when we see really well painted sort of masters level stuff, we do see a shift from darker to lighter as the model gets like from the top of the model down to the bottom. So the hair, the color, I really enjoy the color choices here. I think the teal and the orange is working well together. This is a pretty good example of where the painter has avoided some of the sculpted detail, I believe, on the fringe, and it's actually really working for it. I really enjoy that, and that's a good choice to make. So, only thing is having the hair and the headphones all be the same color can lead to a little bit of muddiness there. Like there's a little bit of separation not going on. Something for me quickly on the leather, probably need to see it be a bit more pronounced and more indication that they are like leather straps. So some texturing in there could be really good.
Just a couple of visible mould lines. Agree that the hair's a really strong element on this, and the colour choice is great. The face is standing out from that hair, but you still have a hair that feels like it's glossy and glistening, which is great. I like the texturing on the leather. Overall, I think we're missing some of that value contrast, and as you said, some of those other elements could be rendered better and more effectively. Anything from you, Radav?
Yeah. I also wanted to note those like mod lines on the legs. Yeah, it's like something you have to be mindful, especially when going to masters. Yeah, it's like a very important part, just like preparing the miniature. Really, like it just like holds you down, and that's it. Yeah. Like Andy mentioned one thing, I think that's very important. The headphones really aren't defined. Like they are melting together with the hair. I would make them black with those orange parts, and it would be much better. It would frame the face, like frame the hair, and like way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little of that like texture on those leathers. There is, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you could go stronger, or maybe shade the leather a little more just to make it visible. It's just not that visible. One thing that I think we should mention, like there's one thing that I like about this piece quite a lot, is the small pumpkin that is glowing.
Yeah.
I don't know if probably it's like a fluorescent pigment or something like this, because it's like very striking. But honestly, I would like make all of those like pumpkins glow like this. Yeah, it would be even better, more interesting, because like the person like here by comparison, like this piece has a lot of darkness around the miniature. Like those pumpkins aren't that highlighted, and it's okay. You could like go a little more, maybe closer to the character, but the rest just on the sides of the whole scene can be darker, and then adding those glowing like elements with so how they were made on that small lantern would make it even more interesting. So there's, I think that the person knows how to do it, but this is just like a missed opportunity. And also like modifying the metallics. Here it's cool because like we had one piece with lanterns, and the lanterns were like very basic, like just like metal. Here it's like more shaded, the whole metal, especially from the bat. It's well defined, but I miss a little of the variety, a little of the highlight for the metal. And like I experimented with true metallic metals, and I think it's not that easy to achieve like a really good metallic metal that is like on a master level. You can make something basic quite easy, but it's just like painting non-metallic metal but inverted. You have to shade it properly, add those nuances, and then just like limit the shine of that metal so it imitates like non-metallic metal, especially if you're painting like a piece that has like oriented light sources and stuff. The metal, like true metallic metal, shine in different like directions, but you have to limit it so it looks like more like a piece of that scene. And here is like that. It's nicely shaded, but I miss that direction of the highlight, more nuance. So in general, like I like this piece, but like there's some things that hold it down like pretty strongly.
It won't get a medal, but it feels like that person's in the right category. That person should be in masters, and needs to push a little bit longer. Number 95, I think this one is, and we have two entries here. We have this, looks like a pinup from something to do with the Sunstalker, I would guess, and another Percival. Which one would you like to talk to? I think this one's a question.
I feel the first one, because we also have a basing element involved in it as well that's really like working well and harmonizing with the piece. So I'll vote for the first one.
Honestly, I like both. Like the thing, I think even the second one is better, but just like the base, you miss it.
Let's go to the first one.
I think
because
maybe we can make an exception of just like making this one like judging both. As I think it would be like it's the same level. The one has the base, the other one has more elements. Probably in the Percival, the person probably may make a base for it. Maybe didn't. But there are some also things that are very cool. If you want, because like we can judge this one. It's the same level of painting.
I think we'll probably stick with one, just in the interest of time. But we can touch on a few pieces of feedback for the second one. I might kick off here. So this is an example of a style that's quite different to my own. It's more of a pastel style and sort of a more desaturated approach across the whole. You don't have huge value shifts, huge value contrast changes, and that's a style and an approach. So I won't critique that aspect of it because it's a conscious choice, and you can see the level of control in terms of the brush control, in terms of the placement of lights. We talk a lot about separation of elements, and you can see here these white fabrics have been separated from the skin with a very soft line. Now I think that's probably just a little too soft for me. I think it should be a little darker, but that's also related to where the light is in this model. There's a lot of focus on that area, and so that line should be softer to separate those elements. Where I think there's some real improvement is first of all this line between the legs is sloppily executed. That looks like it hasn't. It's either a wash or something that's pigmented incorrectly. It just feels like there's some actual paint there, which is not something you see in many other areas. I love the color palette, but I think there's maybe one color too many. And I think we've got this beautiful turquoise color down the bottom, and then we just add a light pastel blue up the top for some reason. It feels like a missed opportunity to tie the two elements together. The pink sword is wonderful. I love the detail of the hearts on the sword. Some of the other elements, like the non-metallic metal, suffer from a similar issue around not treating them as a whole element, but as a too many individual components. And I think possibly the metal could have done with a touch more color, just a touch. Again, this is a pastel approach, and so maybe that's my own biases. The eyes are missing a really powerful glint, and I think the face gets a little bit lost. So over to you, Red Av.
Yeah, I like this piece, really. I know that there are some small technical issues, yeah. I think it's good that you pointed out that shadow on the breast. We were talking I think even from yesterday, yeah, just with that separation. And I think you touched a very cool thing. So the basic stuff you can do is just separate the elements very strongly, yeah. But the advanced painters do that gradation. So in the more lit areas, the separation is just lighter, yeah. So there's more light. The shadows will be more shallow, yeah. And in the darker places, the shadows are way stronger, yeah. So that separation also is stronger. That's why I told you that I don't like something like black linking, because you just neglect this part, yeah. It turns your piece into more like a comic with that clear separation of just elements, yeah. And here that tone is cool, but maybe just a little too pink. I would mix that pink a little with that shade of that close, yeah, just to have something in the middle between those two, yeah, because it's the shadow from one and the other, yeah. Also, I think the face is too dark. The biggest focus, yeah, I like that the person is very decided, but the biggest focus is on the second pair of eyes. I mean the breath. Yeah? Not the face, yeah. You can clearly see that the head is just disappearing in it all. Yeah, you have a maximum almost white highlight on the breasts. And I'm a simple person. I get it, yeah. But in terms of just artistic stuff, it would be cool to highlight the head to a degree that it matches the breasts. Yeah, that would be you would have how it's called sometimes in composition books, a triangle. Yeah. It would be better. And the next thing, I think the sword, scabbard, is very cool. That freehand of those hearts fits the character, fits it all. The base, it's very nice. The colors, of course, are very nice. Maybe the scarf, the blue scarf, just is a little out of the picture, because that's the only place you can see blue. Really see blue, so it attracts a lot of attention. I don't know if it's about it, yeah. Um, yeah, and also like the nose is highlighted with a tip, and it shouldn't be just like a dot. I think it should reach more of the upper part of the nose. So there are like small parts we can like stick to, or like integrating a little of that color of the water to the close by surfaces of the legs. Yeah. Small things, yeah, but like it would combine it even more. But in general, it's also like not a way I'm painting. It looks more like a pastel anime style, but I like it. I like that expression of the whole character. And the things that we talked like here, they are less visible on the second piece. That's why I wanted to talk about both, yeah, because the face on the second piece is way better, yeah.
Yep.
Like the hair, like look at the hair on the second piece, yeah? It's also very cool, yeah?
Yeah.
Not that separated. Also the stockings are very nice. So I think the person knows what he's doing, yeah?
Bucks, anything to add on this first one?
You guys have been pretty like scrutinous on this one, so there's not too much more I'd like to add. I guess one thing I would like to add is that we've seen this color palette like repeated a few times, right? And I just think that this is an example of this color palette executed well. Like we have contrast through the pastel colors still, like we can see volumes, and for two, you know, like a powdery pink and blue, like not the easiest thing to do at times. So I enjoy that. It's really nice to look at. A lot of the things that you guys have hit, I've hit as well, or like I've seen as well. The only other thing I would say is when you did mention that you can get a little bit of color into that metal, this is where like some nice glazed contrast color could really work to your advantage in that regard, right? Like if you just want some subtle punch in there, that's probably what I'd be looking at.
Calves are actually beautiful. It's weird. In the metals, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
97. Kick us off, Andy.
Yep. Alrighty. Pretty intense one. It's a pretty elaborate base we've got here. It's a very large base compared to the scale of the miniature. So that's the first thing. I see more of the base than I am of the model, like just because it's a sheer massive orange. So there's probably some things in there that need to be adjusted. Moving on to the model, I enjoy the palette. Once you go, I'll wait for you to scroll back up. The stockings are a nice element. I feel like they're shaded correctly. The light is applied in the right way. I'm enjoying this sort of like, what's the term?
Iridescent?
So yeah, iridescent, like cyberpunkish look to all the armor plating. Like I really enjoy that, and I think that's executed pretty well.
That's a callback to the game. That's a callback to the game. Yeah, this is a dung beetle knight dancer, and one of the cards on the dung beetle knight is an iridescent hide. It has a metallic, glossy rainbow beetle hide. So, yep.
Yeah, and I feel this has been executed like really well. Even down like like you can see the proportions on this model are quite small. So to get clear definition into the gloves and the hat, where it does look like a hide, like a beetle hide almost, is quite good. I'm really enjoying that. I think the face is really nice. I don't think it's lost in any way, which you run the risk of losing a face when you're using colors like this, where they're really strong and striking and all over the model in various different locations. Probably could see the skin pushed a little bit more, like in the light element, maybe on that shoulder, on the butt cheeks, on the top of the nose there. Yeah, my first take. There's not too much to look at in regards to non-metal metallic. We've got a lot of just tiny hits in there. The base is probably a little bit too intense for me personally. It's a little bit too large, a little bit too much going on, and I think it's detracting from the model itself because the model's really nice.
Okay, Christoph.
Yeah, I have a problem with this piece. I don't know. Like, I think the person knows how to paint. Really, like it's a good paint job of the miniature. But there are some like I would like okay. Let's talk about the good stuff like first. Yeah, I don't want to completely destroy that painter. Yeah. I love the armor. I like the feeling of that iridescent armor is very good. The texture, like of the dragon skin or something like this on those gloves, on the cap, on the hat, yeah, are very nice. The skin tone Yeah, maybe just a little bit of highlight, let's say on the shoulder, yeah, or also even on the face, because like if you look at the shoulder and the face is darker, yeah, and it's in the same place almost, yeah. Those small textures on the piece that she's like sitting, or like the part that is covering like the where her hands rest, yeah, the material also. So small textures, small details, it all works. That separation of it all is very cool. And I know, I probably it's not a big piece, yeah. How do you
I
know?
think it's painter's scale. I think it is painter's scale. I would. If it's not, it's even more impressive. So, so
Okay, yeah.
54.
So because like now you're looking at this like a zoom, but like if it's like a smaller scale, then you will probably notice that the separation lines, like here, if it would be like the 54, it could be a little too thick, but in a smaller scale, I think it's perfect, because like in hand probably it looks different, yeah. So maybe it's the matter of photos, but one thing, the base is just too big. It's just too big, yeah. Like if you compare like the scale of the miniature, like the base is almost like 2 times the miniature, yeah. And it should be, maybe I would cut it like in half probably, yeah, and move the skulls a little closer to the base, to her, or stuff like this. Just like organizing it better, yeah. It's just too much. Sometimes it's better to do less, but like focus more on the miniature, because such a base would need several miniatures, like an interaction or something like this. Yeah, it's just too much. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can also see that there's a very big difference of those like round pieces of the base with the piece that she's sitting on. So I would probably do maybe like parts of the base, and maybe sculpt a little of that like face motif, like something simple, maybe not that defined if you're not a good sculptor or something, because I am also not. Um, but it would be better, like for the whole composition, and especially that like you have in that base like those blue tones, yeah. But that orange just dominates it all, yeah. Just like, why not use more of that blue, just to like tie into that character that is mostly like bluish green, violet. There's no green in the base at all, yeah. And I also, you could use it, yeah, just to combine it all a little, yeah. So for me, that bright like orange tone like, just steals the attention, yeah. Okay, and going to the miniature more, you have to like look at the arm that is like closer to us, that is stretched, yeah. There's like a shadow here, somewhere in the middle, yeah, and like it destroys the whole line of the arm, yeah. And here, just in the middle, in the place where there's so much light, there shouldn't be a shadow like this, yeah. Especially when painting like female miniatures, the shadows on the muscles aren't that big, if she's not a bodybuilder, yeah. But I think she's not. And also the same with the chin. There's like a line of highlight on the chin that is like just too strong, yeah. Just like it separates the face just almost in half, yeah. And I just miss some like the bigger volume, and also like a little roundness of the chin, just to make it more round. So there's a lot of things that the person has done, but a little like trial and error. If you go to the like third photo, you can see the upper part of the miniature, yeah, just like from behind, yeah. And like here, I think the spine is just too much, like just accented too heavily, yeah. But also there's one thing on the like the cap. From one side you have like those like yellow highlights, yeah. From the other you have like blue highlights, but it doesn't continue through the skin, so it's like an inconsistent light placement, yeah. I think the person is like exploring heavily, and it's a good way to do it. Now you have to be just more coherent about stuff, yeah. Just like think about the bigger picture, how it works, how it interacts together, yeah. But it's a very good piece, really, yeah.
Yep, won't go too hard here. I could, but we've spent a fair bit of time. The first observation I think is really important to notice is the dung ball has a really soft separation. It's got warm red for the lines, and then we go up here, and all of a sudden we've got this sharp black line, and the black line separating everything. I think pick one or the other, and the dung ball looks so good and so soft and interesting. I don't know why you wouldn't have continued with that type of separation of elements. it's not that the dung ball has, you can't make those things out. You can. It's that the black feels like it's too harsh and too jarring. Composition is something we talked about a lot. This is an outright terrible composition. The orange completely overtakes and overwhelms every part of this model. And then the next thing I want to look at is actually the blue skulls. So you've got an incredibly wide and inconsistent base that doesn't further the focal point of the model, of the piece, which is the model. Having said that, this is my favourite piece. Let's move on. In contention. 98.
98.
Let me summarise this one relatively quickly. We have an overexposed photo. Your camera could actually be a potato. I can't tell for sure. Your overall value contrast is looks to be good, but it's hard to tell with the overexposure that we've got. The focus is potentially also askew. I like the colour palettes. I think you need to reconsider some of your highlight placements, particularly around elements like the skin. There's a lot of deep shadows in spots where there shouldn't be deep shadows. Particularly a fan of the non-metallic metal and the colour elements that you've incorporated into that. But overall, I think we need to firstly improve the photo, and secondly, consider the light and the whole piece a little bit more. Do we need to add anything to that?
Andy?
I don't think so. Again, like the photo's really hurting it. You can see like this element of light affecting the hair on this, and it actually looks pretty decent. But with this photo being so light and it's not translating to me visually. Like a darker background would have done this model such a great service. I can go with Trent when it comes to the muscle groupings. This is another one where like the separation is on another level that doesn't really. It's not it. So it needs to be softer. That's it.
Yeah. No, I would also agree. Like the one thing that because you've mentioned the things that you see, yeah, it's hard to observe it all because it's so like bright and overburnt, yeah. Like the separation of the muscles, it's a problem, yeah. And also you can see, mostly the highlights are just the person thinks more highlighting the edges, not a bigger surface, yeah. Just my tip for it would be just to look at it all basic geometric shapes, yeah. Just turning it all the leg is like a cylinder, the body is then like a cylinder, yeah, and the head is more like a round piece, like a sphere, yeah, and just interpreting highlights like this, yeah, and shadows, because it helps a lot, here it's even on the cape you can see just it's more edge highlights, yeah, or on the materials on the legs, on that violet one, it's just like that. There's a raised part, edge highlight, yeah, and it's a good method for gaming. But in the master level, you have to think more how it all places in a more artistic way, yeah?
Not in the medals, number 98. 99. Another Percival. It's been a popular sculpt with some excellent photos from about as far away as we could possibly manage. It's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt you in this because this looks like a really great use of atmosphere. And one of the things that I love to see in figures is a strong atmosphere. This is a great storytelling piece that we're probably not going to be able to really give a lot of value to because of the badness of the photos.
But hey, Andy, the dog works.
Yeah.
Placement of the dog works.
This is the dog.
The placement of the dog on this one actually works. It's the best one so far.
Dog. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with Trent. This one is going to be hard to reconcile the distance of the photo away and then give some really honest critical feedback for. I enjoy the background. I like the character that you've painted in there. It's creepy. You're clearly telling a story. I like the aggressiveness of the light coming off the lantern. I actually enjoy that.
Yep.
But
And the
I can't really make
shadow
much out of the character.
and like the shadows on the other elements, that reinforces how good the
Yeah.
light is. So
Yeah, I enjoy the harshness of it. Like it's probably one of the strongest. Like maybe it's not the most technically executed, but it's really pinging for
yeah,
OSL.
it's a
So
visually powerful and
congratulations for that
strong
one. That's
element.
good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think like the light is like on the bottom. Yeah, it's strong. You can see it. Even I think that the lantern could be a little brighter, like itself. Yeah, because the light around it is just brighter than the light in the lamp. Yeah. So that's something to think about. But like looking at the helmet and like the reflection of the light, it's very good. Yeah, and the dog, it's cool. The only thing I miss is like the using the rest, like because the person left the rest a little too much into the darkness. Now there's of course a little of that bluish tone, but I would like use more of it, like make it a little stronger. I don't know if the character like is drawn on the back, it's like really from the game or like it's inspired by something like this. So you're the specialist, like Trent, yeah.
It's not from
But
the game. I don't think it's from the game.
is it from the game?
No, not that I can tell.
yeah. I think someone in chat said it was the trapdoor keeper art from the Corbel.
There you go. Fen knows. Trust Fen. He's probably the biggest repository of Kingdom Death knowledge in the world. So, yeah.
So that's a nice nuance, yeah. The only thing is that like we miss that like the definition of it all, yeah. It's like a very good idea, very nice light source, and that contrast between like that yellow, orange, and blue. It's a very good place. I think for me the strongest part is like that view on the helmet, and the reflection helmet looks very very nice, yeah. Or even that plate on the bottom, yeah, that's lying very close to the lantern, yeah. So it's an interesting piece. I would like tell the person that painted it's like a very brave piece. We are talking about being brave.
Yeah, that's the word that's going through my head so much is like you've been so brave with like attacking like concepts, but then the fundamental skill painting on the figure itself just doesn't match the work that you put into the conceptual stuff.
Yes, but
And that's letting it down a little bit.
that's a good place to be in. Yeah, you are pushing yourself and trying to experiment, even if there are some parts that let's say don't work. Yeah, but like you learn a lesson. Yeah, and I think it's a good one.
Yeah,
the one thing
sure.
like I don't like, really don't like, if you look at the top-down photo, you can see that like clear line of separation of that light on her like butt cheek. Yeah, it's a little too much. It should be like gradual. Yeah, it shouldn't be just a line. Yeah.
No medal for this entry, but gigantic stones. Well done, number 99. Let's go into this piece, number 100. Unfortunately, we have a name here, so if you are aware of that name, that might influence you. Don't put your name on entries in an online competition in future, you peanut. Andy, what do you think of this?
So far, like best use of this model, right? Like we've seen this model entered like 3 times now, maybe 4 times, and this one actually tells the story of the model, which is like she's fighting upside down and she has to. She's bound herself to the roof to fight. So I like the atmosphere and I like the storytelling element of this. This is actually probably one of my most favorites for the storytelling and atmosphere of the model. As for the painting, I'm enjoying some of the elements of OSL. Probably, again, would like to see you be a bit more brave with it and push those colours a little further. The hair shows some signs of volumetric highlighting and getting it in the right place, but it probably doesn't quite land for me. I enjoy the skin. The skin is nice, and yeah, that's probably my initial take to start with. I like the blue light playing in the background and the warm light, so we've got some cold warm playing on as well, so that's pretty.
I got some fundamental issues with the lighting on this piece. Here's a lantern, here's a light source, a clear objective light source. We don't need to see the glow reflected on everywhere, but that's where the light is coming from. Why is the shadow on this leg at the bottom? It's all inversed. There's not a second light source that I can see other than the blue light coming from behind, which again is done in this position, but everything about the lighting on the pipes and on the background on the scenery talks about this lit from below, and then suddenly the model's highlights are from above. It's just a fundamental mistake that I think lets this overall piece down. And it's a shame because I think the color palette's really interesting. Love the secondary triad. Particularly love the green elements in the background. Being tied into the elements on the model. There's some weaker aspects of those elements. The skin's probably the strongest part, but the green there is pretty rudimentary. Overall, visual impact at the start is very strong. But it does feel like to me that the more you look at it, the less impressive it gets. What do you think, Christoph?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's the best use of this miniature so far. Yeah, and there's a lot of small nuance and detail, but that light, we can imagine it having three light sources, something from more normal, I don't know, it's closer to the entrance to the sewer, so you can see the normal light, but there's the front of the miniature is just lit by a white light. Yeah, so it's a little too artificial. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think you have a problem with it, yeah, because it looks too normal, yeah, in terms of that atmosphere, that ambience, yeah. So that the thing that you could do to use, because the whole scene is very cool, yeah, and also that idea of that blue light from behind. So being consistent, probably even more brave, because it would be a harder topic to paint. You would have to make that backlight very strong to illuminate everything, and that front light from the lamp just illuminate the bottom, yeah, and the rest leave a little in the darkness, bluish darkness, would make a even bigger impact, yeah. But it also is not something that is very simple to paint, yeah. So probably the person wanted to use his skills of painting that light from above. It's very natural. We practice it from the start when painting miniatures. So I get it. I like the textures on the straps. I think it's a cool touch. Yeah. Also,
we've got some mold lines in there on the breast line. I don't know if you guys saw that on the outside. So it's probably it's probably
there's a little on the breast and on the arm. Yeah. One color I would skip on the whole scene is that violet. I think it's too much. Maybe some small additions when approaching that blue, but it stands out too much in my opinion. Yeah, just it's a little out of place.
Yep.
So yeah, and we could talk about the finish, the blending, it's sketchy, to say the least. Yeah, but it's pretty consistent through the whole scene. And some parts the legs there was a little more effort on blending, yeah, on that skin tone, or the shirt, yeah. And some parts are a little less, more textured. So there is a difference, yeah. But maybe it's just the technical skill of that person that is you would need to develop it a little more, yeah. But that consistency of light, it's a problem here, yeah. And also you look at her body, it's brighter. Then it could fall slowly even more into darkness to make that space for the lantern to glow more. Yeah. Then it doesn't glow that much because there's too much light close by. Yeah. Even the hair attracts the attention. Yeah.
Do you both think that this piece may have benefited from not even having anything on the bottom of the base and just allowing her the background, her in fall, and then maybe a slightly lit lantern, and then no element?
That would have been cool. Yeah.
She's just hovering just off the ground.
Yeah.
Having nothing there would have been quite good for building the atmosphere of this piece, I believe.
I think this is a strong composition, though. There's a lot of good things about the composition. So, do we put this into contention? I think it's on the cusp.
Yeah,
I think it's as on the cusp as the first one.
Yeah, sorry. Like a runner-up, I think, for sure. Yeah, it's not a clear medal. Yeah, but we could consider it.
101, and we have two pieces here: the Black Knight riding Thing, and then the Screaming God Pinup. it's my opinion that the first piece is a stronger one. But before we go to it, I just want to call out what I was referring to before in terms of how this is the best rendered version of this chest area. It feels a lot softer. It feels a lot more like one piece as opposed to plates of armor stuck to his chest. And the overall lighting on the face is a little bit better. So, but do you think this one's the one to talk about, or do you think this one?
I think this is the one for me.
The Black Knight, yeah?
Yep.
I think it's better.
Yep.
Yeah. But
yeah,
like, sorry to interrupt, but like, I think you're perfectly right. And the one thing that also like it's worth noting, in the first piece, yeah, it's like that slight greenish tone in the skin is also very cool. It combines it a little more with like the mossy rocks, yeah.
Yep.
And like that interpretation of those muscles is better, yeah. You can see more of the main shape of the body.
Yeah.
Not that much separation of the muscles. There is, of course, but like it's way better. Yeah.
Yeah. And the medals are green instead of blue. So good job. All right, let's talk on this one. Every element for me feels significantly better than the other one outside of the face. The face is a real weak point of this, and it's a shame because I'm drawn to the lion head, I'm drawn to the thighs, and then the face just sort of gets a little bit lost. And I think that's the biggest weakness of this overall, is that she's got a great expression, and we're not really getting to see that because everything else is dominating overall. I have no concerns around the blending on the skin. I think the cloak is a really well executed black. The hair is probably not executed well enough. The metal, I particularly like the gold and the more older gold look. I think the steel, the placement of the highlights in some of those areas doesn't feel correct, and overall, I just get a sense of missed opportunity from this piece. It could have been something really special. Andy?
For me, touching on that gold, I enjoy that the painter has chosen to like separate the two golds, like the gold on her armor and then the gold on the lantern. It's really easy at times to just do it all one, so I like that. I would have liked to have seen like more depth pushed into the non-metal metallic steel elements. Like the sword doesn't feel like it's quite dark enough for me on the underside. So I would have liked to have seen more pop there, and maybe would have liked to have seen a few more popping elements on the gold itself, like right at the high point to really push it over the line for shiny. Like it's evident this is a shiny metal, so like let's make it really shiny.
Okay. I first of all, like you've mentioned the black cape. And it's that's not people sometimes struggle with painting black, yeah. So like here it's like the execution is very well and like very good, and the texture is quite nice, yeah. You can see that stippling, yeah. I like it a lot. I don't know if you guys see it, yeah.
Yeah.
And also like for the hair, it could be a little more, yeah, just like slightly more. But I don't think it's like a badly painted hair, yeah. It's okay. Maybe just a little like more highlight on the top. It's a little messy on the head, yeah. Maybe the ponytail is better, yeah. The face drags it down really. The thing that I see instantly is probably the head of the gargoyle, yeah, not her, yeah. So like it's something that's to think about. Like it should be just brighter, yeah. And even the eyes are quite okay, yeah. The makeup here, there, like it's visible, right? But like it's too messy and too dark, in terms of the skin tone here around the nose, lips, yeah. And I don't know how the sculpture looks, so hard to judge. I like the non-metallic metal. I don't know, like maybe the sword, you're right, Andy. Yeah, it's just a little too dark, but like the gargoyle, it's quite cool. Like even on the back, you can see that those paws, yeah, the back, yeah, those like, small line reflections. Yeah, it's sketchy, but it's
It's just it just feels like it could have been pushed a little bit further for me. That's all, and I think that's personal preference. But after you're finished with this, there's definitely something I'd like to talk about the back view of it.
Yeah, but like that, it's a good scene. Yeah, maybe on the front, the black cape here on that part, it's just a flat, yeah, the front view. The back view is very good. Like the front view, I need a little more information on that black. And also I don't know how it's called, the leather strap, what she's holding, like for the gargoyle, is just a plain. You can see it, it's just like very dark, and that's it, yeah? So there are some elements that are like perfectly executed, there are some that are like, they just hold it down, but I think it's a strong piece, yeah?
Yep. What do you got, Andy, on the back?
Well, we've been incredibly critical about separating your elements and how you do that. And I think that when you look closely at the separating of the elements on this, especially surrounding her thong, like her underwear, like we've gone for black for almost all of the separations on her. And I think we've been critical on that on others, so we need to be critical here.
Yep.
It's
Are we in on the cusp? I think it's on the cusp.
I think it's definitely on the cusp, yeah.
Another Pashka.
yeah, I think
This is a nice. Yeah, there's a nice little model. We probably can't spend too much time talking about this because of the nudity, which is in breach of Twitch terms of service. But I think that was a pretty good model, well painted, doesn't fall into metal category for me. I'm happy to provide some feedback to that painter offline. Did you have anything else to add to that?
Well, maybe all of us will do that and then pass it through you, and you can pass it on in the spirit of.
I could, but as you want, yeah, because I'm opened it on separately in the window, so like I can look at it and talk about it. So
well, I
guys
can't.
Want,
Yeah,
but
without being able to see.
I think the dress is very good, yeah. Like the flowers, the small elements, like the nuances of the dress, like in terms of the colors, are very good, yeah. And I look at the dress and then I look at her feet, and her feet are flat, yeah. Why? That part needs more like input, yeah, more like detail and more highlight for sure, yeah. So there are some parts that are very good. There are some parts that are like medium, yeah. The skin tone is quite nice. The face is nice. So even like the I don't know how it's called, like the bunny ears that she has, yeah. Are quite nicely like nuanced with that like purple, yeah. So it works. It's a good piece, really. Like the best one I think from the sculpture that we've seen. The lantern has a problem with that, like light spilling from on that, like those parts that are separating it, yeah. Because like if something is glowing from the middle, that frame would be darker by comparison, yeah. So this is problematic, yeah. I don't know what you guys think, but like if you want to give feedback later, that's okay,
It doesn't fall into the metals. So,
well, yeah.
103, our second last entry. It is another contender for worst photo in the Masters category. Probably gets away with it because at least it's not overexposed. Some pretty clear fundamental value shifts on it, which is great. I do think the lighting is reasonably well executed. It looks as though there's just a few basic blending issues, a few areas where we need to be a little bit more subtle and smooth. I think the overall effect of this piece is strong. But I just think it's probably a little under what I would expect the Masters category.
Yeah, it's you can see it's like a lower level of like being refined, like in terms of like just like technique, yeah. But we should like I think tell the person that was painting it like it's a nice brave project, yeah. In terms of like that lava, that light. probably the person pointing it had to like think about it very actively, and and that light is like quite coherent. Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe just a little more even visible blue, and that like normal light would make a bigger contrast. Yeah, but it's a nice piece. Just not for master like regarding the other works. Yeah, so probably it won't have a place. Yeah.
Yep. Anything, Andy?
Yeah, I agree with everything. And then I think the light's the wrong way around, right? So it should be hottest towards where the blade is. If it's dripping away from the blade, it would get darker. What do you guys think? I think it's the wrong way around for
opposite to what it should be. The light, the heat should be coming from there. Yep, good observation.
Yeah.
No medal for you, 103. Our final entrant before we move on to medals, and it is another of the Disciple of the Witch, and a version of this chick. I think the Witch is stronger. Any disagreements?
No, I'd agree with that one.
The Witch with the...
Yeah. Just to... Yeah, I mean, we've obviously got another one of these in the competition, so it's pretty easy to draw some comparisons. This is a different style. I don't know what game's being played there. It probably says it on there. Can't quite make that out in the photo. Maybe it's Secret of Mana. I hope it's.
Is it like the Ring or something? It looks like the Ring.
Chrono Trigger. I thought it might have been. I thought it was Secret of Mana. Close.
I was thinking about Elden Ring or Dark Souls, yeah, because of that ring, but like probably Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. Look, I think this is another example of a pastel approach to miniature painting, which is different to how I like to approach things. This is an extremely strong contrast between the purple and the skin, the peach colour. Really, probably too big a contrast, I think. The purple feels like it needs a little more definition, a little more added in to bring it a little bit closer to that skin tone. And maybe it's just a matter of drawing the areas that are closer to the skin to be a lighter colour, maybe creating some reflections of the pastel peach into the purple, and then vice versa, the purple into the peach. Probably my favourite eyes that we've seen in the entirety of the competition. This earpiece is pretty weak. I struggle with some separation of elements like this necklace, the hair. The eyeball also feels like a missed opportunity. It's such a gigantic eyeball. I feel like there should be more. This Coca-Cola's done well. You can tell immediately what it is. This looks like someone's had a little bit of an incident with a pizza box that doesn't bear repeating anything else about. It's a good version of this piece, but I don't think it's as strong as the other version of this piece. What do you think, Red Av?
Like, first of all, I want to congratulate that person for really painting good skin tone.
Yeah.
Like, I like it. Like, it's like, of course, it's my weight, so it's like smooth, yeah. But that nuance is there. It's very light. Like that's why I like it. It's light, but like you have that like nuance. It looks very feminine, and it's really nice, yeah. Your mention about like integrating more of the like pillow with the skin tone, yeah, I think it's the skin tone is too much, like it has too much separation, and also even like if you look at the hair, it also has too much separation from the rest, yeah. So like integrating those elements, like for the person like when painting, would be something new to consider and trying to add to their arsenal, yeah. Just like adding those tones, mixing the ambience together. The reflection of the pillow should be visible in the skin tone. It's the same with the hair, because like that color is very strong, so it probably will reflect a lot of light. So that pink could be visible a little. I think it is a little visible in the head if you zoom in.
Yeah.
So that's good, but use more of it. Yeah, it's like if you've done it this part, you know what it's about. Yeah, so like just like add to other elements. Yeah, the earpiece is just like flat. needs something more. Yeah, it's just like too simple. Maybe even separating the face on the side, maybe not on the top of the forehead, but on the side from the hair could benefit it more, because like here it melts together too much. The pillow is like very, very lightly painted. In some parts, you can even see more of that like reflection of the glossiness of paint. And in those parts, when you have the reflection, I would add a little more, like she has on her like breasts on those parts. Yeah, just a little more highlight. Yeah, just a little more information because sometimes I miss it. Yeah, but like I love the Coca-Cola. Like the bottle, yeah, how it's called, yeah,
Yeah.
mug. And the pizza box is also very cool, yeah. But I think the pizza box in Moses' version was like better, yeah,
Yeah.
more realistic.
Yeah.
But here the shoes are better.
Correct. Go, Andy. Bring us home, son.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to point out sort of three things. I think there's actually a mold line. We'll start there at the worst. I think there's a mold line on the earring as well, so not great for that.
Really?
Stylistic choices, though. I love the choice to do a... Well, if you look, it looks like there's a line running straight down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a small one, but we zoomed that so many times that it was right there. Stylistic choices. I love the choice to do a wooden frame around the TV. It feels like it matches the console that's being used on it.
Yep.
So
Good call.
congratulations on that. That was a great choice.
Yep.
We see all of these like really nice little hits of color that it just looks like you weren't brave enough to put in. Like one of the ones that I'm really enjoying is this front line on the bottom of the bottom of the cushion, this red that's sort of coming up.
Yep.
That could have just been pushed a little bit further and really like popped this piece a lot. So it's the same with there's a little bit in the kneecap with the white stocking on, right? And again, you guys pointed it out, a little bit of the soft peach sort of tangerine hair pushing into the hat, but not quite enough. So I think brave is the word that comes to mind for this one. If you had been a bit braver and a bit more bolder, this would have been right up there for
on the cusp, I think. On the cusp. Unfortunately, when you get into a one-on-one shootout with another version of the same model, you sometimes fall short. So that is the entirety of the entries in this category. So I'm going to bring up the 4 pieces that we chose as our top 4. And then we can discuss those, and then we can each go through and pick our individual favourites and or other. So whilst I'm doing that, I did just want to appreciate the effort in both Christoph and Andy for all the time they've spent. A lot of time, to give up, particularly for Christoph with a young family. So, mate, I really appreciate it. This was my project to try and do this online and open it up, and you didn't actually sign up for that. So I appreciate your time.
No, I did. It was a pleasure. So
Yeah.
do not worry about it.
And Andy, as always, mate, very much appreciate your insights and friendship. So thank you both for the time. Any questions from the chat while I'm prepping this bit? Excellent. Good job. Okay, so this will be...
I hope that like everyone who's come along to all of the streams is feeling super motivated after this as well. I know that's something that genuinely gets me hype after an event, whether it's an online event or an in-person event. The desire to get out and paint more and take what you've learned. You don't just have to learn from your own feedback. You can learn from others' feedback. And if you didn't enter, this will motivate you to consider entering in something next that comes around. So that's what we're all here to do, is share the love of painting, and I hope that that's translated to you guys who have come along for the ride. So thank you for coming and listening to us as well.
Yeah. I also think this way that like it's so like it should motivate people. Yeah, even if we talk. Yeah, I also like I'm motivated to paint more. Yeah, as people are
Yeah, 100%.
as people are doing such cool things. Yeah, and I always think, okay, I'm too lazy. Yeah. So like for all of us, I think it's just like spending time, but like also like, enjoying the hobby, yeah. And I think people would learn a lot about painting when just like listening to feedback, because like of course we could take much more time on each work and just like dismantle it like from base up, yeah. But it will take
Yeah.
just ages, yeah. But I think even that time that we spend, I hope it will like be positive for everyone and like just like you can learn something, yeah. So thank you.
I can actually only find three that we absolutely locked in for medals, and one that I really liked. So I'm just gonna do a quick review of all of the entries, and we can give a final yes no. So 36 is this one, no for medals.
Yeah, no,
75,
it was enough.
also a no for medals. 81 we have included, which is in the conversation. 82,
Yeah.
solid, but some gaps in approach. 83, it's a no, but some nice colours chosen.
No.
84, it's this butcher pinup, let down by the photography and the base. 85, this is good skin tone, but some other fundamental issues. 86 is one that we have included in the metal category. 87, some fundamental issues on value. 88, similar fundamental value issues. 89, conceptual issues. 90, conceptual issues, some photography issues. 91 is airbrushed job. 92 is unfortunately not photographed well enough to be in contention. 93 we have included in the medals.
I think you missed 96.
86.
Was that the dung beetle?
No,
No.
86 is in there. 94. Yep, some issues around consistency of light. Did I miss 93? Guys, I'm going in order. I haven't got to 96 yet. I'm at 95. Relax. Yeah. 96.
We took that one.
96 is the one I've missed. Yep. Good.
Yeah, this one.
Yep. Download that one. Just continue with the rest. 97.
I think 97 also, like we
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah. 97 is going to be getting my award, so we can just ignore that one. I love it. It's my favourite. 99. Yep, great concept. Could be potentially in the running for the Bravery Award, but we'll see what we're left with.
Well, bravery is a really important element of Kingdom Death, isn't it?
100. 100 is on the cusp, I think, so we'll come back to that if need be. 101, also on the cusp. 102. Some nipples which we can't show. 103, falls short on photography, and 104 also on the cusp with the witch. So we've got 3 on the cusp and we've got one here, here, and here. All right. So here's our top 4. I believe these are the 4 strongest. Who wins and why?
We get a completely different look when we get them all lined up next to each other, don't we? It sort of adjusts perspective. I mean, the beer right now for me, the beer mate is standing out a lot as the front runner. I think it's the execution around the chest, base. Yeah, it's doing a lot for me personally.
No, each one has like their own things, that like the distinct.
Yeah.
Hard choice.
Yeah,
Hard choice.
This is the hardest choice so far.
The artist who did the couch girl has done a really good job of rendering the skin and face and elements. The big gulp cup, TV,
pizza box.
But probably suffers from being known by the judges and knowing what they're capable of. So
I don't know that influences me too much. What I'm influenced by is the sloppy, lazy work on the other areas that the painter wasn't as excited about. It's something I do all the time, right? When I'm not interested in doing something, I just fucking slap a contrast paint on and move on. But it's noticeable in a competition like this. It's noticeable those areas that haven't been given the same level of care and attention. So.
Does that get exacerbated? I guess the thing I'm posing is, does that get exacerbated by knowing that they can?
Well, I don't know the guy from a bar of soap, so not for me. Maybe for Christoph, but even then, I think he's judged enough competition.
For me, it doesn't influence that I know the painter. Yeah, so it's not a problem. But if I compare it to the rest, like if the piece would be finished on the same level, probably it would be the best one. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, looking at the skin tone. Yeah. It's just like almost perfect. The reflection on the skin is just like on the leg. Like look at it. Like it just looks like skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are some also the pizza box is like perfect. Yeah.
Yep.
Or like the TV, like the monitor screen, the pickup. There's some parts, but like I miss the whole refinement in the whole piece. Yeah. That's something that drags it down for me. Like if I compare it to the girl with the lantern, like that one is like finished. It's like rendered like fully. There are elements like finished. There's nothing like that he skipped, or like the gear on the fountain. Yeah, also the same. Yeah, so that's a problem. Yeah, for the kill with the sitting on the
barrel.
With the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's also like there are some parts, like especially the wood, there some aren't that finished, there are some parts that are just like amazing, there are some parts that are like it's not even, if I would like look at in terms of like the whole piece being like evenly finished, like I think the 2 bottom pieces are better, but also there are some other elements that are made better on the 2 that aren't that finished, that's the problem.
That's
here,
a really good observation.
We have like 4 places, because like if I would normally compare, that probably each of them is like finished on the same level, with small, but we have to choose,
It's a really good observation you made there, right? If I talk about the face and the skin on the Disciple of the Witch is the best out of all of these. The leather, sorry, the chest and the satin skirt on the beer girl are the coolest and most interesting contrasted elements out of any of these. But there are other elements on both of those that let the quality down, whereas the other 2 maybe don't have those same levels of really, elements that just grab you, but they're a consistently higher standard across the entirety of the piece. So it's a matter of which of those
out of those two pieces directly against each other, like how do you feel?
Like I can tell you one thing that is unfortunately common, and it was common on the Hussar competition. it's not about picking the best one most of the time. It's just picking the one that has less flaws.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it shouldn't be like this, but like we have to choose somehow. Because for me, all of those are like on the same level, yeah?
Yep.
So now we have to just like look at stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
I think that the way that I'm ordering them at the moment, I feel like the white background model is the strongest overall, with the fewest elements that are weak. I place the Disciple of the Witch next, based purely on the strength of the face, with the bottom right lantern a very, very close third. Potentially would be happy to swap those two. The elements on the Beer Girl let it down and detract from the overall. But if I was to say which one of these four is my favourite, it's the Beer Girl. But I think, the technical elements on that let it down. So I think the beer's in fourth. What are your thoughts, Bucks?
I think you present a good option there. I think that when we go reductive on like what's not, like when we start looking at flaws, I guess the beer keg is hard to look past. Some of those basic issues I mentioned when we critiqued it affect my opinion on this one.
It's a weak face too. I don't think the face is that strong.
And probably a bit of the spaghetti hair as well is
Yep.
a bit of an instance.
Sausage hair. Yes.
I think the fourth one we might not have looked at enough. Like I actually think for me I like the fourth one more than the is it a Visionary, I believe she's called. I like her more than the white background one personally. I think that they had the same, like similar strengths. It just appeals to me more, so that would be my preference. So I'm a little bit off on that, and I agree that the witch by far probably has the most highly executed element of all of these painted, which is the skin and face. So I'm probably leaning towards. I'm not sure we've got it right with white background and black background on the bottom, and would like to discuss maybe those two more against each other. What do you guys think?
I know I wouldn't give gold to the girl playing the game. It's because I don't know, maybe being bad for that person. I don't know. I know that it could be even better. Like if the rest would be finished on the same level, like in terms of the other elements, and especially like for me, the hair, it's holding it really down. Yeah.
Good observation. Yep.
Or the shoes. Yeah. It's just like flat, and shoes are completely sketched, like very, very roughly. Yeah. Or like the small pattern on the pillow down the bottom, below her butt. Yeah. There are some elements and if you compare it to the like Beer Girl, maybe some like of the barrel isn't that finished, but it's better than those elements. Yeah. So I don't know. I think for me, the white background girl and the girl with the torch are like quite similar in terms of refinement and finish. But as you mentioned, like I think the girl with the sword, like the white background, has that like scabbard painted. There's more painted on, yeah, like that small freehand, that small elements. The problem is with the face. Like for me, it drags it down. On the other part,
I think the other one has a better face, and it also has a really nice OSL element.
Yeah. So this is very cool. So if I would choose, probably this one as a whole, the with the torch, I could place one.
Yep.
The second one could be the girl playing the game. Just because I couldn't give it like a gold. I think it's not fully finished. It has some genius elements like the pizza box and like some just elements, yeah. But there's I know that the painter has a lot of potential, but like it's just like it's not there. And then probably the girl on the white background, and then the girl with the beer for me, yeah.
So we go one lantern, 2 couch, 3 pastel, 4 beer.
I think four beer I'm comfortable with. 1 lantern I'm comfortable with. I think the white background is on par with the lantern in terms of the quality, and so for that reason, should we move playing the game into third?
I guess the question you pose is the execution on the skin, but then the detractions with non-completed elements or flat elements holding it down versus really like a relatively sound all-round piece, but not a good face.
The skin's very strong. Yeah, look, I think based on the face, I think that we need to move white into third. So
okay.
Yeah. Honestly, if the face would be better,
yep.
Just like the whole like piece, maybe just more light. That's something that drags it down for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's here, it's hard to compare. Yeah. Like we have one element that is weak on the upper piece. Like it's more elements that aren't good, but there are also some more elements that are just epic. Yeah. So it's like hard to compare.
Yeah.
And like.
Yep. I think that's right.
The problem is that, like, if we would like take those two pieces, the one with the playing the game or the girl with the white background, if they would be like in those terms a little better, they would be way better than the girl with the lantern. Yeah, because the girl with the lantern is very correct, but also aside maybe of that rim light that we also talked about, that it could reach a little more, yeah, like of the leg and stuff. Outside of it, it's a very good piece. But there's not an element that just like instantly screams to you, like stands out. Like if I look at that, like I don't know, that pizza box is always like, oh, that's so epic, yeah.
Yeah, so's the face. That's
the skin, or the central area of the beer girl, or maybe all the colors combining for the white background. I think that's a pretty good point.
Yeah, it's a good observation that the overall standard on the Lantern Girl is, probably a 90%. But every element is a 90%, whereas the other two pieces, or the other three pieces, have a couple of things that are like 110% that I just go, that's fucking awesome. Like the scabbard, the face, and the chest piece on the beer girl. Those are all 110% elements, but they're let down by some 40s and some 50s in the overall. So does that extremely strong element compensate enough for the other parts that are weak? Probably not. I think the one the face face has to be good, and the two that we're dropping to third and fourth, the face is not good, and that's got to be a good part.
Look at it from a different perspective. Yeah, just go back a little, like mentally. What was your first impression when you saw the four of those? Yeah, what's like attracted you the most?
The face is great on the witch. The chest is great on the beer girl. The face and the lantern on the other chick, and then the teal, the turquoise down the bottom of the white background.
Yeah, if we would combine those four, we would have like Captain Kingdom Death.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I guess, are we leaning into consistency as king right now? Like it's sort of the most consistent across the piece, is the one that's sort of, I guess, sitting in the front running at the moment.
Okay, so what are your picks? Like I told you, I don't want to change it that much. Yeah, honestly, it's my like first impression. I could like analyze it, like switch around. The problem of such competitions is that probably a lot of those pieces, like maybe the burger, I would give silver. In a strong competition, the rest could probably get gold. Yeah. But here you have to pick. Yeah. So like for the people watching, like really, I can tell you, it's always hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And open competitions, open categories, it's always like we can give more gold.
Yeah. It would be lovely to be open, but it's not to be. So
I actually think Disciple of the Witch should be in first. It's the one that I'm most wowed by. It's the one that I go, this painter is capable of incredible skill. And I can forgive the hair because it's bringing more attention to the face. That face and skin is 110. The average on every element on the lantern is 89, 90, 95.
Yeah.
So I think Witch first, Lantern second, Teal base third, and Beer Girl fourth.
What do you think, Andy?
I can live with that adjustment at the top, but if we're talking about like it's a wow, like there's a wow element in making that swap, the Beer Girl actually is a more wow for me than the Teal Girl personally, and it was the thing that grabbed my attention the most, because if we're now highlighting what is executed really well, the central part of her is really on, and there's a nice atmosphere about her. She has a great, like, her face may not be executed the best, but it fits for what it is. You know, she looks like she's a few swills deep on that beer as she's serving it, and it's probably more ambitious than the others as well in regards to putting in a backdrop. So I can live with Witch going into first, Visionary in second, but I think that there might need to be a swap on those two to Beer Girl to third, and then a fourth for the Teal one.
Teal one, you're talking about the
white background.
We'll say the heart scabbard. Yeah, the heart.
Okay,
scabbard.
that's heart scabbard. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, first place.
I can live with that. Okay.
First place, Witch, Disciple of the Witch, playing the game. Agree? Yes, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Second place, Lantern. Agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Third place, Beer Girl. Agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed. That's our top four.
And fourth.
That's our top four. Locked in. Disciple of the Witch in first. Lantern in a very close run second. Beer Girl in third. And the Scabbard Chick in fourth. I will bring up the screen again that has the other pictures, and we can nominate our individual awards. I will go first because I've already selected mine. It is whatever one I fucking I don't remember what number it is. It's fucking 97 maybe. Let's have a look.
Yeah. Honestly, if we wouldn't agree, we would have to have a paint off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 2 hours.
Is that where we paint off for our opinions, or they paint off to win our favour?
This receives the Trent Dennison Award for best representation of an in-game component, as well as awesomely executed colours and an absolutely disgraceful composition. Congratulations, you win my pick. Andy, what would you like
mine.
to pick?
Mine will go to the best use of the model, which would be the one hanging from the roof. I thought it had the best atmosphere. I would have loved to have seen you just clean cut the sewer one, like clean cut the bottom off that. Let the model in the background do the talking for you. But I felt that you really thought about that in your composition. So, yeah, I'm going to give mine to that.
That's number 100. That's Andy's award, number 100. What about you, Christoph?
For me, it's 101.
Yep.
It's because of the black. I think it's always like hard to paint black. People struggle with it, and for me, it's like a very good rendition of it. Also, the metallic metals I like a lot in this piece. Maybe the sword is a little, maybe the face is a little. Yeah, that's something you can like make better, do better. But like it's a good piece, really, a good piece, and I think you should be proud of it.
Good. And that leaves us with one final award to give out. What should we give it to? Any thoughts?
It's Potato Cam.
Potato camera is just a title. You don't get any associated.
Yeah, we should really reward taking a horrific photo, should we? What about best trees?
Yeah, I would like to award a best composition, and or no, I don't think best composition. I think do we give an award to the person who organised the whole fucking competition and deserves some sort of prize and recognition for really nice skin? Millennia gets our 4th award. Anya Mill,
Great
you
face.
fucking legend.
Yeah.
Thanks for all of your hard work organising the competition. We appreciate you. You get the Judges Award for most hard-working person involved in this competition and worst red painted anywhere. So
yeah, but tightest jawline reflection ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexiest pert butt cheeks. Good job. That is the end of our stream, friends. May I firstly thank all of your wonderful participation on the chat, in the Discord. I've seen many comments, and it's been wonderful to see. I hope we have added some value to everyone who has been involved in this competition. My purest goal is to help everyone in the community feel like they can improve as a result of entering this competition. I also have a selfish motivation, which is it allows me to also continue to improve and grow as a painter myself by looking at these pieces and reflecting on how I can improve my own work. So thank you for the opportunity to Millennia and Meph for putting this together and inviting myself to be a judge. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Christoph. Thank you, Andy. Any words from you, Christoph?
Yeah, just like I also wanted to thank you to all the people like organizing this, and I think it's a epic initiative. That's a thing that builds up the community and like makes it stronger, more engaged, and like just like learning a lot. So like big congrats to you, really. Like for you, Trent, but also for Millennia, it's epic stuff. Yeah.
Andy.
Yeah, I'll absolutely echo that, and thanks for the opportunity as the youngest, I guess, in regards to judging. Like this is the obviously first opportunity for me to judge at a master level. I really appreciate that. Thank you for inviting me along, and I've had a great time.
Excellent. Thank you again. Wonderful experience. These will all be uploaded to YouTube where they will remain forever. So even if you see the Twitch VOD disappear, you will be able to review it on YouTube, and hopefully that'll be a valuable resource for some time to come on how you can approach display painting. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been a long experience. I think we're at a total of about 12 hours of streaming, so I am cooked. My girlfriend is very angry with me, but wonderful effort. Thank you, everyone, and we will sign off now. Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
See you.